Clerk, when you're ready, we'll do a roll call, please.
Mr. President, Counsel Capone.
Here.
Counselor DeFlorio. Counselor DePiero.
Here.
Counselor Hanlon.
Here.
Counselor Marchese.
Here.
Counselor Matusky. Counselor McKinnon. Yes, I'm here. Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Napolitano.
Here.
Counselor Simonelli.
Here.
And President Della Sola.
Here.
11 members present. You do have a quorum, Mr. President? We can, yeah.
We'll stand and salute the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Stay standing for a moment.
Stay standing for a second, please, for a moment of silence. We lost a few of Everett's own. Maria Lucia Ambrononi, Maggio Ragucci Baldessano, and Tina Seol. A moment of silence, please. There is, yes.
Item number 1 is the only public hearing. To all parties, excuse me, Mr. President, a public hearing offered by Council Richard J. Della Sola Jr. as president. To all parties interested in the public hearing, permission be and hereby is granted to TC Systems, Inc., AT&T, to lay and maintain underground conduits and manholes with the wires and cables to be placed therein, under the surface of the following public way or ways, as requested in petition of said company, dated April 4, 2019. TC Systems, Inc., proposed conduit placement plan, Coburn Terrace, Broadway, and Marie Ave.
Councilor Florio.
Petitioner here, if we could please invite him up.
Yes. Just state your name and the company you work for, please.
Yeah, Chris Murray, TC Systems.
Thank you for appearing. The question I have for you is, when is this job going to start? When is it going to end? And what time you're going to be doing it?
The duration should be 5 days or less, and we'll work with DPW to determine the hours of work as most convenient to the city.
Okay. We prefer that this is done at night, not during rush hour.
If that's what the city decides, that's fine with us.
Okay.
It's just that it's residential, so yeah, there is a little bit of noise.
Yeah, I
It could be
didn't think of that.
weekend work as well. But I think the duration is going to be, 2 to 5 days, realistically.
So 2 to 5 days, but you would start the work, if it was on the weekend, you would start after 8 or 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah, not before
You were
8.
going to start like at 5 in the morning.
Correct.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for our guest?
Excuse with the customary thanks, if there's no further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And make a motion to open the public hearing.
All in favor? Ayes have it. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to speak in favor of this petition? Anybody in the audience speaks in favor of this petition? Third time, anybody in favor? That part is closed. Anybody opposed? Is there anybody opposed to this petition? Third time, anybody opposed? No speakers?
Second. Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. This section is closed.
Motion.
For favorable action, Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio. Excuse me. Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese. Counselor, Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
and President Della Sola.
Yes.
Would you like to be, yes, Mr. Counselor? Thank you. That would be 10 yeas. Before I read the roll, would you like to record it as a?
Record me as yes, please.
Okay. Before I read the roll, so it's 11 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the order. I'll mail out the
Thank you.
the paperwork to you in the coming days.
Make a motion to
Thank you.
open public participation.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Councilors, we have two speakers for public participation. The first speaker would be Mr. Kevin Kidd, 31 Liberty Street, Everett.
Just state your name and your address so people at home.
Kevin Kidd, 31 Liberty Street, Everett. Good evening. I'm talking about the parking that was been taken away on Union Ave off of Liberty Street. It was taken away overnight, no notification of the neighbors or abutters. And it's affected me, not personally, as I have a driveway, but people coming to visit me or anything like that have to really scrounge around for the spots, especially on the weekend. What is ironic to me is that this happened literally overnight. The signs were put up during the week, overnight. And when I fought for this Church Street realignment back the way it was 14 months ago, and it was approved, it's still sitting the same way. So that's still sitting there, and this happens overnight. And I just want to let you guys know that the people on Union Ave were never told that this was going to happen. And I just think that's a little bit different than the way this usually runs around here. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Excuse me.
Well, I can briefly say something. Let Chief Mason speak. And then, yeah, yeah. And the only other speaker is Chief Stephen A. Mazie. I'm not sure what he's the name the chief is speaking on.
Good evening, everybody. Stephen Mazie with the Police Department. I know this body has had a lot of questions over traffic and waterways issues, and I just wanted to come up tonight to reassure you, later this month, you're going to get a presentation. It's a full presentation of all the traffic planning and waterway planning that's been going on. There's been multiple meetings a week and at all different levels, from my level down to the folks that actually work the streets. I know Jim Folk, the traffic management director for Encore, is going to be here at that meeting as well. So I think you'll get all the questions, or at least most of those questions answered when that happens later this month. And I just want to let you know that a lot of thought has been going into and a lot of research into this whole endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Move to
Accept
accept the
previous-
previous meeting's minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I do have a few things on the sign-in sheet. So item number 5 would be the first one.
So moved.
All in favor of 5? Ayes have it.
Item number 5, Mr. President, is a transfer offered by Councilor Richard J. Della Sola Jr. as president to transfer $911,800 from the budgetary fund balance, free cash, into the following accounts: employee buyback, $404,000; unemployment, $25,000; active police and fire, workers' comp, and retired police fire.
Counsel Capone?
Is that
Thank you,
fine?
Mr. President. Could we have Mr. Demus before us?
Number 5.
Just state your name for the record.
Good evening, Eric Demus, CFO.
Yeah, but if
Counsel Capone?
And I'll just,
Thank you.
if I could preface it.
Sure.
Ms. Lara Wiebe, the HR director. I don't know where she is, but she was here to speak on this tonight, but I'll do the best I can.
Okay.
I've been tied up with the budget.
If you want, we can lay
She's
this
just
over
in the
till she...
hallway.
I think she's going, someone's going to get her.
Okay.
Yeah.
If If you wanna
It's up
start
you.
with
Do you-
it.
Do you want to lay this
But
over?
I'm happy to try to answer anything that I can.
Okay. So if you could just give us an overview of what we're looking at and why.
Sure, so what's before you are, a number of them are statutory requirements, such as the workers' comp, the active police and fire, and we also have, everything in here is also contractual too, so it's also the employee buybacks. Some of these line items were actually reduced during the budget process because we've had positive years in these accounts. This year was not financially a positive year in these various line items. We've had numerous retirements, we've had some resignations, and we've had, unfortunately, some deaths and a lot of injuries. And so these costs are just driving them up. One of the things that the city also has is an employee buyback stabilization account that has not been funded in a number of years. And during the union negotiations, one of the things that the city requested with the unions is that we're now requiring individuals to give us a 1 year's notification so that we know the information going into the next budget. We have time to prepare. And one of the things that we'll be talking about late summer, early fall is I want to make some recommendations to City Council to adjust, potentially adjust or amend our financial policies to include additional funding for the employee leave buyback stabilization account, which right now is about $2,500. That fund was depleted a number of years ago, and the city has not been funding it. These are benefits mostly under union contracts. We know these liabilities exist, so it's going to be my recommendation at subsequent meetings that we work to start funding that stabilization account so that we're setting money aside for these known liabilities.
Okay. And with regard to that, the employee buyback, we're looking at items such as,
So when employees leave,
they have accrued
they have accrued
vacation
time. So
and-
the big one, sick time, vacation time. The vacation time we're actually required by law, if they've actually earned it, we
Right.
have to pay them out for it
Yep.
if they haven't used it. So again, that's why I'm saying a lot of these are either contractually driven or driven by state law.
Okay. And the numbers that we have in front of us, are these actually going to be incurred or already committed, or are these holdovers to stabilize?
These are going to be incurred prior to June 30.
Okay.
And actually, we're still working with a number of individuals to see if they actually are retiring. So it is possible we may have to come back if we can't use it up in existing salary lines. But these will be monies that will be spent prior to June 30.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Florio?
Thank
And
you,
then Counselor McLaughlin.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I want to know if this is, it's up to you to decide whether this is routine or not?
It is routine.
Okay, because I know we do this every year, this time of the year, so I really don't have any questions. I just wanted to make sure he was going to say it was routine, because if not, then we're just going to send it to a committee instead of wasting all the time here and then have you come to committee.
Could I just clarify one thing?
Yeah.
We actually didn't need last year to do this at this time, only because we had a very positive year and actually returned a lot of money in these various line items.
But this is something that does come up every year.
It does.
I mean, last year was just a year that we didn't need it, but normally it does come up every year. So that's why I wanted to make sure that it was considered routine before we went on another hour and then send it to committee and come and answer the questions in committee. So I'm okay with everything, and I don't have any questions, so sorry for the interruption.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McLaughlin, and then Counselor Marchese.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, through you to our invited guest. The active police and fire, what is the active police and fire for the 25,000?
Is it on? I believe that's the injured on duty line item, so if they get hurt on the job.
So,
We're-
sorry.
Go ahead.
Is there just a possibility of giving us a breakdown of how many individuals are in each of these? We don't need the names, but there was one active injured member, or there's 5 retired, whatever that number is. Could you give us a breakdown of each line item? And again, you don't have to divulge the name of the individual, but as much information as possible as far as just to kind of show us because last year didn't have to go through this process. So this year, if you could just break that down and maybe just send it to us in an email format, just to show us the line items, that would be helpful. Not that I'm against this, I'm okay with it. I just would like to see how many employees we're talking about.
Sure, and the only thing that I will add, though, with the active police and fire, just so that you're aware, you can't just look at the number of issues, because various injuries cost different amounts of financial dollars, so just take that into consideration as well. We could have an individual that was out for a week, or we could have an individual that was out for 6 months.
All set, Counselor? Counselor Marchese and Counselor McKinnon.
Very short, Ms. Stevens, you, on our free cash, how much did you say we had, 5 million? How much do we have in free cash?
I included it in the,
All right, it's in the book here, vote.
it's, okay.
2.9, and we'll deplete most of that the next month or so? Yeah, by July, it'll probably be depleted?
No, we're not anticipating that,
Oh, okay.
depleting it.
I just saw 2.9, you have, the money here, you not, seem to be on the rate. We always seem to come up with some extra bills that we take out of free cash. Second thing is, who finances the buyback? Would you have a buyback? Whatchamacallit? You
It's,
said something about a buyback. What was it? It wasn't funded?
It wasn't adequately funded.
Who funds that?
The city council does.
The city
It's part
council
of,
funds that,
the budget
okay.
process. It's in the human resources budget.
All right, I just wasn't sure who funded that. And that's fine for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McKinnon and Counselor Napolitano.
I just want to know if Ms. Wiebe has anything that she wants to add to this, any insight on it or anything like that.
I
Mr.
apologize for being late.
No, that Mr. Demus didn't touch upon, or, I just want to get your opinion on
Yeah,
some
and
things
just
here.
that I think it is a little more difficult to forecast, like the contractual obligations we have, if we know that people are retiring, are easier to predict, but when people resign or retire or get laid off, those are things that we aren't predicting beforehand, so the vacation buybacks and longevity, we would have to pay out.
How many people were involved in the buyback? Do you know?
Well, the buyback, there's the health insurance incentive opt-out that I believe we pay from this, so it's much cheaper for us to give them the opt-out once every 6 months than us to pay for a Blue Cross Blue Shield family plan.
Sure.
So it's, or it's cheaper for us if somebody buys out a week of their vacation, then saves it for when they retire and they're getting paid out at a higher rate. So Mr. Demus and I are actively working on ways to encourage people to spend down these accruals that they have, as opposed to banking them and then getting them at a later time.
No, that's understandable. We don't want anybody waltzing out of here with 250 grand, I don't think, anymore, do we? You know? So, yeah, that's understandable. That's a great thing. So this, Mr. Demus, this is done to actually curtail any forecast that's coming our way with this type of activity, or?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And when you get into the detail of your budget books, you're going to see in these line items for next year, we're obviously proposing to increase, because again, you can't accurately forecast on the number of individuals, police or fire, that are going to get hurt, or the retirements. Like I said, though, we did put into new union language a requirement of people to notify us at least a year in advance to be eligible for their sick time buyouts, so that we can better plan.
can't
So
hear
that's
you.
something we just
Say it
put.
again.
It's inside the same.
Couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Your FY '20 budget does reflect increases based upon this prior year actual results. But moving forward, the items that we can better plan on, we did just include in the new, a number of the new union contracts, that to be eligible for the retirement buyouts, they have to give us a notification of at least a year in advance, so that we can adequately plan and know
You're not
what we're
getting
looking
ahead
at.
blind on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Let me see, do you have any percentages on how many retirees we may have out of public safety or any of those issues? Or should I save that for Saturday?
If you actually save that for Saturday, because that
Yeah,
number
all
that
right.
we presented, I don't have that in front of me.
Done. Thank
But
you.
that specific line item does include the notifications we've been receiving.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mr. President, just to cover it, why don't we suspend Rule 13?
Seconded, all in favor? Opposed, the ayes have it. Suspend Rule 17. Council Napolitano.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I understand this correctly, because again, I understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. But we're transferring $911,800 from free cash. We're moving, we're going to be putting $404,000 into employee buyback, 25 into unemployment. Then there's no figure for active police, fire, workman's comp, or retired
Yeah.
police and fire.
It was cut off in the printing. I'll give you the numbers. I have
Right,
them
that's
in
what I'm
front of
looking
me.
for. This isn't
Yeah.
on my agenda
Yeah.
yet.
It
Because
is
I'm
in
coming
it-
up with a $482,000 difference.
It is broken down in the communication.
But I can
So
read
I don't
them.
know what happened with the
Yeah.
agenda item.
And
Would you
just
like
so
me
you
to
know,
read them,
we did,
counselors?
we based that number on the spending that has taken place over the past several months, because there's some people who may have come back to work or who are no longer treating for that injury, and then there's other people who come back to work and then they still submit for the cost of their prescriptions or physical therapy. So that number does fluctuate every month, but based on past spending, that's probably the most accurate, approximate number we'd be able to come up with.
All right,
Counsel, if you want,
This is actually what I was looking for. I just wanted to see how the money, what the amounts were. It's not on our agenda, but I do see it's on the sheet. It's on the back of the sheet that we were given. All right,
Counsel,
thank you.
Counsel, if you want,
That's all.
I'm going to have the clerk read it for the audience at home.
Just so you know, there were five items for the $911,800. Employee buyback is $404,000. Unemployment is $25,000. Active police and fire is $211,000. Workers' compensation is $265,000. And retired police and fire is $6,800 for a total of $911,800.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counsel Florio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually did have a question. I have a concern about this unemployment that says 25,000, because one of the papers says it was 30 people getting laid off. Is that enough?
Do you-
I don't have the
As you're
budget.
aware,
I'm not
as
sure
you're
what I should
aware,
answer to
that what you're referring to, that information is not always factual.
Okay, so I just wanted, because it didn't seem like a lot of money, $25,000.
I was shocked when I saw that or
All
heard
right,
that, too.
thank you.
Any more questions for our guest? Counsel Matusky.
Just to touch on that
Um,
subject.
Favorable action on the order?
Counsel Matusky has the floor.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
President. What is a realistic number that is being laid off, now that it was brought up? 2 people, 3, 10 people?
There's a lot going on in the
Excuse me,
budget.
I don't think that's-
But it's
Yeah.
under 10. But our actual head count, you're going to notice, is going to be significantly down, specifically in police and fire, and we'll get into that in more detail. The reason being is in the police department, we have 6 to 7 police officers that are going to be funded and paid completely by the Gaming Commission. I'm still working with the Gaming Commission. I have a conference call set up with the Chief Financial Officer at the Gaming Commission. So those individuals are not in the budget. That activity is typically accounted for outside the budget, so that we charge those individuals, it's nice and clean, and then when we get reimbursement, they're 100% owned by the Gaming Commission. So we're not actually reducing police officers, it's a matter of working out the logistics. And then in the fire department, you're going to see a reduction, but there are no layoffs, because the chief has been working and applying for, again, for the SAFER grant, which we believe is going to fund 9 to 10 firefighters. We will know more in the coming months, but the thought process is, if we receive the grant, then we don't need to budget for them, and we didn't want to ask for that money. We will know that information prior to the tax rate setting process. So if we get denied for the grant, or the grant is reduced, we may be back to make sure that we keep our head count in the fire department where it is. But the thought was, we don't want to have to ask for the money and have the taxpayers fund those if we don't need them. And then if the grant falls through, we'll be back to have further discussions.
That was great. So there's 10 possible layoffs, or whatever you want to call it.
There's been some reorganization. Yes.
Reorganization, and then the 6 policemen, and then 9 firemen
Yes,
will be reorganized through the casino.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for our guest? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Favorable action on the order.
Roll call vote.
Got a second?
Yes.
We have a second on that?
John seconded.
John,
Okay,
thank you.
sorry.
For favorable action, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese.
Yes.
Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Della Sola.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays. You have passed the order. We still have two more to suspend, so can we take items? Wait, sorry. Items 20, 24, and 34. They're ordinances. Maybe if we can take them collectively and we can vote on them separately. 20, 24, and 34.
Motion, so moved.
Second, all in favor? Ayes have it.
20, 24, and 34, Mr. President.
Can you read number 20, please, first?
Mr. President, one moment. I'll explain them all to you.
You gonna read them all?
I'll explain them and read them, yes. Yes, councilors. Item number 20 is an ordinance offered by Council Richard J. Della Sola as president, that the Everett City Council hereby modifies the city's flammable registration fees. Item 24 is an ordinance offered by Council Richard J. Della Sola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby adjusts the maximum number of taxi vehicle permits issued by the city council. And item number 34 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Richard J. Della Sola Jr. as president, an ordinance replacing the special license for extended hours of operations with a license to operate during restricted business days and/or hours. I can explain all of them if you'd like, if you
Yes,
have any
please.
questions. Just so,
Tell us what you
on item
know.
number 20, this is up for abatement. We spoke briefly about this at the last meeting I came back. It is just kind of clarifying and reducing the number so it did not affect small businesses. We did not want to hurt little gas stations and other types of little stores. And I think with the fee schedule that I put in place, it affected them more than what my intent was. And so this was a reduction. So this is for abatement. On item 24, this is to fix the number to where it's supposed to be and to set an exact number. In our ordinances currently, we do this rolling where it's 1 for every 1,000 or 1 for every 2,000. With the increase in the residents that are going to be coming in the census next year, our federal census, we're going to increase this, our numbers, our residents a lot. Besides that, we realized going through old records, and actually Councilor Hanlon, who is a former city clerk, helped me with this, that the current owner of a license here had more licenses than we were granting him. And with some due diligence and the help from the former clerk, I got to find this historical information and got to give him the licenses. But he can't get them yet because it would actually exceed the amount that we have. So we need to adjust it so that way he can get the correct amount that he has always received. We were in the wrong, we shouldn't have taken it away. And technically we didn't, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to correct that. And finally, an ordinance for the special license. We already have an ordinance. This is deleting the current one and rewriting it. This will help us with, it's kind of combining the Lord's Day licenses, and I don't know if you know what those are, on the old Sunday licenses that we give, and a lot of municipalities don't do that anymore. It's going to combine it. Currently, we have an extended hours license for certain companies that come into the city that either past 10 o'clock or past 11 o'clock, and on the weekends, on Sundays, need a special license. So this will clarify that and allow businesses, larger companies, that have on one property multiple businesses that need the extended hours, one location can get the license instead of having to give it to each individual one, which is kind of a daunting and I think an unfair thing to do. So it's just all clarifications. I do ask you to enroll it. You'll have time to review it, and then if you don't like it, we can always go back. I will tell you that our city solicitor has reviewed all of these licenses, these ordinances, and is okay with them. She tweaked a few things that with me, but I just wanted to inform you of all three, and you will get a copy of everything if you don't already have them. Yes.
Counselor Capone, Counselor McLaughlin after that.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our clerk. I know we've already talked about the flammable registration fee.
Yes.
So I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
As far as the maximum number of taxi vehicle permits, what are we setting the new number to be?
It's going to be 32. So-
32.
And why that is, very briefly, is the current person, we have to, what we did originally is said that no one person, no one
Should
company
have.
can have more than 80%.
Okay.
And you need a minimum of 3, no individual licenses either. So you
Okay.
can only get 3. So this will allow for 7 more licenses in the city. One
Okay.
company will own 25 because they've always had it, and this
Okay.
will allow up to 2 more companies an opportunity to do business in the city.
Okay.
Which is fair.
All right. And then the last one is on number 34. What exactly, do we have the language available? What exactly are we looking to do?
I mean, I'm going to give you a copy of everything. It is pretty detailed
Okay.
information, and I'll give you copies. I didn't know if you had them, but I can submit them to you. I didn't know if they were emailed already.
Okay, I don't remember
No,
seeing
that's
it, so-
okay. I can definitely
But,
give them to you.
no, I appreciate that, and then I understand about the enrollment, but my personal preference, and council can do whatever they want to do, but I prefer not to vote on anything till I read it. Even
Yeah,
though I
no.
understand it's only
I get it.
halfway and you got to do the other half afterwards, I always prefer to read it before I vote on it. But
I-
thank you for the answers to those
You're very
questions.
Counselor McLaughlin, and then Counselor Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, through you to the clerk. Clerk Cornelio, the taxi cab licenses is going to be set at 32. So what happens in adjacent years? If it was based on every 1,000 or so many per in the past, how will it elevate in the future?
It'll be our decision. Your decision, excuse me.
How often will it come up for renewal?
I'm sorry,
So-
how often will what come in for renewal? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I'm
Counselor.
sorry.
That's
The
okay.
the 32 licenses that we're going to adopt.
Yep.
How often will that change, or will that be on a
It'll
rotating?
be at I mean, it'll be a case-by-case basis. So obviously, if there is a need, and there are for 32 operating, and you realize there's a need for more, you can always revisit your ordinances. Where the other one was rolling, I don't like, it's just a personal thing. We have only 2 ordinances do this. Prior also, we never regulated how many we did. It was a number to infinity, and that doesn't make sense either. So this is why this body, about 3 years ago, under Clerk Matarazzo, revisited this and reworked the numbers, but there was a clarification needed. That's why it's before you,
But there's no.
to make it fair.
There's no scale of.
There is no scale, and there wasn't
Increase
prior.
or even renewal.
Correct. But even at the numbers now, we'd only be at the 25 at the old numbers. Does that make sense? We are at 23-ish, give or take, because I think we have 46,000, give or take, residents, so 1 for every 2,000 gives you 23, and then say we hit 52,000 residents, you're only going to 25, 26. So this is still providing for much more than what we had.
I just think the number of residents that are going to increase in our community over the next several years is going to be so dramatic, so large,
Yeah.
that number is going to be pretty outdated quickly.
That's why we're not doing the rolling number. We're going to give it a solid, straight number, 32.
But the 32 is not going to be sufficient in just a short amount of time in the city.
Oh, cabs?
Yes, with the inflation.
You guys can amend it any way you want. This is a proposal.
Okay. And also,
I draft things on your behalf, so
Nope,
if you
and that's
want
fine.
to change it, you're more than welcome to.
and to just echo Councilor Capone's comments of not enrolling this evening and laying this over and being able to see the
Yeah,
ordinances. in
I'm
full.
less worried about the taxi one than the special hours, just because of what's going on down the street. It's kind of a necessity, if you'll notice, that they have a license earlier in this, and we kind of need to accommodate a little bit, but it is up to you, obviously. I just wanted to give you that information.
All set, Counselor? Counselor Matusky, and then Counselor DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So presently, there's 25 cab licenses, so this increases at 7. And is that going to be a new company coming in? 'Cause
This
I-
will allow at least 1 or 2 new companies, but don't forget, you have the authority it's your decision on granting those licenses, that's it.
But a
That's-
limousine company is a
Those
different
are
ballgame.
different. We have a livery license ordinance also, which we did over the past couple of years. I mean, we've reworked a lot of ordinances through you, through my office.
I remember we had 32, I mean, going way back.
Yeah.
But, with the Uber and the Lyft, they've really beaten up the taxi industry in this city, and everywhere, really.
Correct.
I talked to a guy the other day, he was going to the airport, it was gonna cost him $4 with Uber. I said, you kidding me? $4, I mean. But anyway, needless to say, I'm gonna vote in favor of that because we're gonna need extra taxis here, and there's, a lot of people prefer to have a taxi rather than the, whether it's cheaper or not is another matter. But on the special license extended hours of operation, I'm just trying, now, what business does that affect? Is that restaurants?
So currently, it doesn't affect, we only have about 2 businesses that use it. I think the hot dog vendor on the Parkway uses it, and Best Buy comes up once a year to get it for that Black Friday event they have. Those are the only 2 companies that currently use it.
So what does this ordinance do?
So most of the businesses are grandfathered in. Anyone that opened 24 hours a day do not need this because they were open prior to the creation of this ordinance. Anyone new, i.e. The resort or any other businesses down that area that would like to open past 11 o'clock would need a special hours of operation license.
Well, that means the Encore people have to get up here before they open June 23rd, I would imagine, right?
Their application is on the agenda.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So the reason we have this coming up simultaneously.
Okay, I understand what that's about. And the other one was the increase in the flammable goods?
It's actually a decrease because I
decrease.
realized the numbers that my office, along with our consultant, had drafted were just a drop
Okay,
high for small businesses. I wanted to reduce it.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you,
You're very
Mr.
welcome.
President.
Thank you.
Council Florio, and then Council Marchese.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no problem voting on number 20 and number 24. But number 34, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, and I don't want to vote for that. And if number 34, it's because of the casino, well, all due respect, they had a year to come up with it. So I will vote on the other 2 items, but item 34, I'd like to see the ordinance before I vote for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Marchese, then Council DePiero.
Just very quickly on the cab, not to beat it to death. You're increasing to 32.
Correct.
Is it going to be the same company that gets the extra cabs, or is out for bid again?
No, they cannot. Yeah, they're maxed out at 80%. That's
80%?
our ordinance, says 80% is the maximum threshold. This ordinance will give them about 79 and change percent,
Okay.
or 78.
So whoever comes in here is going to have to be pretty reputable also.
Correct,
always.
and they come before you, and then
Yep.
minimum of 3 cabs.
Minimum 3, all
They
right.
cannot do individual licenses
That's-
in accordance with our ordinances.
That's
We did
great.
that.
And the other one with the extended license and everything,
Yes.
what bothers me is, can we, even if we grant this, can we pull the license from people who are working 24 hours, or does this protect them?
No, so this is,
If we have a trouble spot in the city, a 7-Eleven that gets robbed every other week,
correct.
does
So
this
anyone
prevent us from going
new,
after them?
anyone new coming in would
Yep.
be getting this license, right?
Yep.
So we already, this is an existing license, and then, just so you know, that's for only licensees of ours. This isn't for all licenses. So if you have a liquor store,
Yep.
you're granted a license by the Liquor Commission. The Liquor Commission is the appointing,
Yep.
the authority.
And their
the
hours are
granting authority.
designated.
Their licenses are done by them. 7-Elevens have a common victualler.
Yep.
Common victualler
And
is
this
done
is,
under
was
the Board
this
of-
here just to accommodate the casino, obviously?
It's not just for them, because, don't forget, this ordinance already existed. We are tweaking it. Yes, it will help them, but it will help other businesses also.
Like,
And it
for
gives you
instance, what,
some-
like a hot dog cart?
Well, but then, what the
You know.
thing is they get it, and then it's your decision. You can
All right,
always...
now, how about a liquor license that's situated down that casino zone area?
Liquor licenses would be, all liquor is done by the Liquor Commission. They're
No,
the
no, I'm talking about
licensing
the,
authority.
well, we're not talking about, obviously, the extended hours on the,
You're-
to serve
you're-
alcohol down there,
Yeah,
right?
this is only for licenses granted under the authority of the city council. You
Okay,
have
so this is
authority-
only hours of operation, is what
Correct.
we're talking about here?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's, I don't know if
That's all.
we're,
It's hours of operations allowing certain businesses on Sundays and et cetera. It's an
Yep.
existing ordinance, we just,
now, that'll be
tweak
a
different things.
24-hour operation, obviously, down at the
Yes.
casino.
yeah. What this does is actually just makes it easier, instead of them applying for 38 different separate licenses.
Yep.
They will get one.
Okay,
For
then
the
the
whole
liquor
building.
obviously will be going out to the downstairs. Yeah, well, not for the liquor.
That's the major difference here.
All right,
There are a few little tweaks, but that's the major difference.
all right, thank you.
Is one property can get one license.
Council DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Councilor DeFlorio. We as a council need to treat every business the same, no matter what the size.
Thank you.
But my only concern is, this question's probably for the clerk, is that these licenses stay with the location, that you can't, let's say you go out of business, you don't last with the Wynn Corporation, that you can't open up on the other side of the city and be able to stay open until 3 a.m., whatever it may be.
Not only are they non-transferable from property to property, they're non-transferable on that property. So if, say, whatever, Encore were to sell to another company, they could not just transfer it. The license, just like our motor dealers, always come back here, and then you see that sometimes you say, oh, there's a new license. Well, it's not a new license. That business existed there. Now they're selling it to a new person. They can't just transfer the license. It's not a piece of paper they can hand off. They have to come back before us, or before you, get approval, go through the process, go through committee. That's how we do it. That's how our licenses work. Most of it's authorized by, under Massachusetts general laws and our ordinances.
Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much.
Last speaker, Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we were just handed this ordinance on item number 34.
Today.
And obviously you can see that it's multi-pages. I'm just wondering what holds us up from us voting on this evening? What delays this vote this evening if we are not to vote on item 34 this evening?
Tonight would be enrollment, so there's no final action tonight. This is so I can post it in the newspaper for the public to have an option to state something at the next meeting. This is not an ordainment. The only ordainment vote tonight is for flammables. The other two are enrollments. So again, I understand Council Capone, and he's right. And I do normally try to get this to you very early, but that didn't happen here. But
Is this something you wrote today, Mr. Clark?
no, this has been on the agenda. No, it wasn't drafted. It's
No, I'm
been
just
done.
wondering I'm just wondering how we're getting this in
Our
here.
consultant drafted it, I reviewed it, and then I sent it to our city solicitor for review also. So it was on the agenda in time, and I just didn't send it last week. So it was definitely a mistake on your clerk's part, that I didn't send it to you late last week. It was ready.
Okay. So there was no changes to it today?
No,
or
no,
anything?
no, no. No last-minute changes. I would have stated that.
Okay, just because I asked, okay. That's fine. Okay, thank you.
All set, Counselor?
On item number 24, ordainment. Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsel Marchese.
Yes.
Counsel Matusky. Counsel McKinnon.
Yes.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counsel Napolitano.
Yes.
Counsel Simonelli.
Yes.
Counselor Della Sola.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays. You have ordained the ordinance.
Favorable action on number 24?
Second.
On this piece, Mr. President,
Councilor Matusky?
you know, the gentleman that's been operating the cab business in the city for the last, as long as I've been up here, I think it'd be, if we're going to, he stuck it out with the Uber and the Lyft and the Lyft people, and his business is not what it used to be, as we all know. The cab business is, they're giving medallions away in Boston now. I'd like to make a courtesy call, at least to the gentleman that owns that business, to find out if he is in the mood to have, I understand he's buying new cabs and taxis for this casino
If I may.
venture. And, just to be fair with the man, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but if you're going to grant 7 licenses to somebody new, and which we'll vote on if they come before us, but I think, I know the man, he's a pretty good guy, he's been in business, he donates a lot of money to every charity there is in this city. I want to call him before I vote on this.
May
I really do.
May I say something,
Make a mo-
Mr. Counselor? Counselor? He has been in my office multiple times. He was in my office when we originally drafted the first piece. He was fully aware of what we did. He's been with me because he obviously requested that he had more licenses, and I did research, so we have ongoing talks, not all the time, but he was in the office a week or two ago because he's going to be submitting for his payment for the current licenses, and he is aware that there is a potential for other numbers, but he holds 80% of the licenses. He holds
No, I
more than
understand that, but-
3/4, and he does know.
Competition's a good thing too, but the thing is, it's a courtesy.
Yeah.
But if you talk to him and he has no problem with it,
I mean, I'm sure he would like to have no competition, but I mean, I mean,
No, but
he-
we vote on whether we're gonna add more cabs or not. I might say no if
Well, actually, if you say no, then you're reducing his current number too, because we're max,
what is his current number?
it's supposed to be at 25.
What does he have, 18, is it?
18 is what we had proposed, because you can't have over 80%. But I found that he
So
does
he's gonna
own
increase
25.
18 to 25.
Correct, which is the right,
As
which is
long
the
as
correct
you-
number.
You communicate with
I
that
absolutely
company,
do.
right?
He is a gentleman.
All right,
We've
as long as
spoken.
say that, I trust you.
I wouldn't
You are
lie to
the
you.
city clerk.
He was just in the office.
He's been a bit, now, the only reason why I bring this up is because there isn't anything that this company doesn't donate. They give more than Exxon.
Yep. Mr.
And all
Moravec
these
is a great guy.
multi-billionaire companies. That man has done more for charities in this city than any business. I don't care what business it is, big ones. These multi-million corporations, he doubles what they even, it's like manhole covers these guys throw at us. This guy's a decent person. If you talk to him, that's good enough for me.
Me and the assistant city clerk did sit with him recently.
That's fine, because I just want to make sure. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
What's the motion out there? Favorable
Thank you,
action?
Counselor.
Action for enrollment. For enrollment, Counsel Capone.
Yes.
Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsel Marchese.
Yes.
Counsel Matusky.
Yes.
Counsel McKinnon.
Yes.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counsel Napolitano.
Yes.
Counsel Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Della Sola.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays. You have enrolled the ordinance.
Can we get item 34 and lay it over to our next meeting?
Second.
Postpone to our next meeting.
And if we could,
Counsel Capone?
if we could, please invite the a representative from the city solicitor's office in case there's any questions.
Yeah.
Postpone, right?
Just got it now.
All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Postpone until next meeting.
And before we go into regular business, we have someone else in the audience from, I believe, National Grid. That would be the last two pieces on the list are 16 and 17. We can take them collectively.
Motion to take 16 and 17 off the schedule, off the list.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Item number
Read
16
please.
is a public hearing order offered by Council Richard J. Della Sola Jr. as president. To all parties interested in the public hearing to allow National Grid permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way, Gladstone Street, National Grid to install one SO pole beginning at the point approximately 40 feet southeast of the center line of the intersection of School Street. New SO pole number 2133 and anchors on Gladstone Street. Item number 17, Mr. President, is a petition offered by Council Richard J. Della Sola Jr. as president. To all parties interested in the public hearing to allow National Grid permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the public way or ways hereinafter named, Gladstone Street and Broadway, National Grid to install beginning at point approximately 115 feet southeast of the center line of the intersection of School Street and continuing approximately 200 feet in an easterly direction. National Grid to install 250 feet of 5-inch conduits encased in concrete existing, from the existing pole number 2132 Gladstone Street to existing MH 236 Broadway. Please note, we already held the public hearings. These are just before you, because you've laid them over. Postpone them, excuse me.
Counsel Matusky?
I have a question on the National Grid.
Good evening. My
Just-
name is Tim Williamson.
You state your name and your company.
Tim Williamson on behalf of National Grid at 170 Medford Street in Malden.
Thank you, Mr.
Counsel
President.
Matusky?
I didn't catch your name, sir, I'm sorry.
Tim Williamson.
Mr. Williamson, what's the hours that you're going to be working on this project?
We would do most of the digging and the trenching. We would be doing this after hours due to the high-traffic location.
Okay, that's my issue.
Yeah,
It's a
that's,
very-
we built that into the plan.
There's an elementary school.
Yep.
Right
And we
now,
would
there's a
also
serious
be-
problem on School Street going onto that street. It backs up all the way to
Yeah,
Everett
yeah, no,
Square
we would be
almost.
doing this
Oh,
after
so-
hours.
Okay, that's my only concern, because School Street and Gladstone Street has become a mess with traffic. So be very careful. How long will this take?
The digging should only take 3 to 5 days total, and we'll, do all temporary repairs overnight.
You'll notify the neighborhood that you're going to be doing work at nighttime, so that
Yep.
make it as easy as possible. Okay, thank you very much.
Unfortunately, most of the digging is kind of outside of the residential houses, it's more in the commercial area, so.
It's near the Dunkin' Donuts property?
Yeah, it goes past the gas station and then crosses to the corner before the Whittier School.
Well, there is a Italian restaurant there, but people do live upstairs.
Okay, but we'll.
And they're very, very well thought of.
We'll do notifications.
Okay,
and
thank you
keep
very
off
much.
hours.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any more questions for our guest? Councilor Capone? Then
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor
President.
Florio.
Through you to our guest, what kind of time frame do you think it's going to take to get the work done? How many days?
2 to 5 days total for the digging work, and then a few more days for the overhead wires and poles and stuff.
Okay, so potentially 7, 8 days?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions.
Councilor Florio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're not adding any poles, right?
Just the one new pole, pole 2133.
Okay, so you're adding that new pole, is there an old pole there?
Not at that location.
So it's just non-existent? you just-
Non-existing, we'll be adding the new pole, and then that's it's for guying purposes, so that way the poles don't lean in and get out of line and stuff.
Right. Okay, the other question is, now, you have some wires from a pole and you're putting them into a manhole? Am I misunderstanding that?
Yep, the underground piece will be connecting the overhead system to the underground system, and that'll allow us to connect the two, and it'll provide some additional reliability and switchability, so.
Okay, but does that other pole that where you're taking the wire and going to the manhole, does that have other wires on it?
Yeah, that's
It
an
does.
existing pole.
It's an
Yep.
existing, but it's not a
It's-
double pole?
No, it's just a slight reconfiguration of what's out there now.
Okay. I have to say, the communication has been a lot better with National Grid, and we appreciate it, because they're doing work on Dyer Ave. They did send us a notice, they told us what time they were gonna be there. The contractors have been great, they start after 8 o'clock when everybody leaves, they're out of there by 4:30, so the people have the parking.
I'm
So
glad to hear that.
we appreciate it.
Thank you. And we've also been working on our projects to try to make sure the other utilities are in the loop, to help minimize any double pole time that does come out of these projects.
Right, I think communication is very important, and I think that's why we were all so angry up here, because there was no communication. But now, like I said, it's been working out great on Dyer Ave, that's where I live, and they're great. They start after 8 o'clock in the morning when people move their cars to go to work, and by 4 o'clock, people come home, they're ready to park. So we appreciate it, thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Councilor Hanlon?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. Are those plot plans you have?
Excuse
Are those
me?
plot plans you have in your hand?
They're petition drawings. They're not the actual construction drawings, but they represent the work that would be done.
Okay, after our regular meeting, I had asked the gentleman to supply me with a couple of plot plans of that area, where the poles were, how far, many feet, and that kind of thing. I didn't get any.
Okay.
I don't want to hold this up, but I'm going to ask if you
I
would...
can ask Dan Cameron
Yeah.
to supply the actual construction drawings.
Okay, and send it to our clerk?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
I'll note that.
For both numbers, for both of them.
To John Hanlon?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, I'm quite certain when our civil group applies for the road opening permit, that they would also supply those plans to
Yep.
the Department of Public Works.
Second,
All in favor?
favorable action on the orders.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The clerk's not here to call the roll. Ring the bell. Yeah, but you have to vote on individual ones. You have to vote individual. Favorable action on number 16,
Second?
gonna do it separate, right?
Counselor Capone?
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio?
Yes.
Counselor DePiero?
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon?
Yes.
Counselor Marchese?
Yes.
Counselor Matusky? Counselor,
Wait.
Counselor Matusky?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
that's okay. Counselor McKinnon?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano?
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli?
Yes.
And President Della Sola?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays. You have so passed the order.
Favorable action on item number 17.
Second?
Counselor Capone?
Yes.
Counselor DeFlorio?
Yes.
Counselor DePiero?
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon?
Yes.
Counselor Marchese?
Yes.
Counselor Matusky?
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon?
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin? Council Napolitano?
Yes.
Council Simonelli?
Yes.
And President Della Sola.
Yes.
That would be
We suspend the rules and
yeas.
take item number 14, please.
0 nays.
All in favor? Take 14. Ayes have it.
Nah, the chief came up.
You said 14, right, councilors?
14, yes.
Okay.
Read 14, please.
Item number 14. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilors Wayne Matusky, Michael Marchese, Stephen
got an
Simonelli,
issue with it.
John Leo McKinnon, that the harbor master or the operator of the Alfred Street Bridge appear to explain the operation and plans for the expected increase in vessels visiting the Encore resorts.
Yeah.
Council McKinnon?
Yeah, on this piece here, I'm kind of, lack of a better word, disgusted, because we've been requesting, certain sponsors on this here have been requesting different people to come before us, yet we haven't seen anyone that was requested. This has been going on for quite some time. I don't know what exactly is going on with it, but I spoke to the chief, and the chief said that he's been going to these meetings and that he was going to bring us up to speed, hopefully on the 28th, and we should have something in front of us as a plan. That's all well and said and great and good, but when I'm requesting a harbor master, or I'm requesting people from the mayor's office in Boston to come out here, and then our people are getting involved with it, our engineer gets involved with it, our chief gets involved with it, and they think that by our request, they can just actually come up here and just tell us, you know, they've been going to meetings. This is the first I'm hearing about it now, that they've been going to meetings. I know that they've been going to meetings, but they should have been reporting to us what was happening at those meetings. So, not too happy, I'll be honest with you. When I make a request, I want the people that I am requesting to come here. I spoke to the mayor of Boston. He said he was going to send his people here. Then our engineer gets involved and tells them not to come here. Spoke to the chief. Why am I speaking to my chief? He wasn't requested to be here on this. I spoke to the state police that's on the gaming commission. He said he was going to be coming. Now all of a sudden, he's not coming. I get a call to our clerk in there, and he says, to Mr. Mangan, and says, no, they called on Thursday, they're not gonna be coming. They wanna, give it to our chief to handle it or whatever. This should have already been done. This was on months ago, and I don't get it. I'm not getting it any longer now, people. When we request people to come, when we go out of our way and communicate with other agencies, higher agencies than are in this building and everywhere else, state agencies, we want them to come to tell us what's going on. So I'm not getting it. When I make a request, I want them to come. I don't want to hear from our people, oh, no, I called and talked to them, oh, it's okay. No, it's not okay. When I make a request, it's not okay for you to get involved with it. If you want to come and add to it, then you can with what they're saying. But what does our engineer know about the bridge that's going on right now when Boston's handling it? I don't get it. So I'm a little bit disgusted what's been happening here. We just seem to mull everything over. Oh, it's for the casino. Well, good. Oh, if it's for the casino, well, guess what? We should be actually looking at everything that's going on down there. And we should know, this board right here, all of us, should know what's happening. And not just from what we're hearing from these people that are supposedly supposed to tell us, but then they just drop it on us. Boom, here you go. Look, here's another one. Dropped on you tonight. Well, guess what? I'm getting disgusted with it. So we need to actually act like the board that we are. We need to actually look at everything that's going on down there, and if you don't feel like you can, that's a problem. Me, I'm requesting people to come. I want them here. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McLaughlin, and then Counselor Matusky.
Mr. President, I would just like to echo the comments of Council McKinnon, because I think that there is a lot of interception going on a lot of topics. We've been talking about traffic. We've been talking about potentially a residential parking sticker program, and we're not any closer than we were in February. I think it was February. I think we started talking about. It seems like everything we try to do is being intercepted with a third party, and we're not getting direct information. We're not getting direct answers, and it's very frustrating. As Councilman McKinnon just said, we need to get direct answers. This is going to open up in just a short amount of time, and honestly, there's big issues that just seem to be gloating over because there's individuals that want to intercept our work as a body, and I'm getting tired of it as well. And I just wanted to echo the comments of Councilman McKinnon and support his sentiment this evening.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilman McKinnon and I and the other sponsors to this piece requested that the Boston Harbor Master appear. Councilman McKinnon had a conversation with the mayor of Boston, said he was willing to send whoever was in charge of the bridge department to the city of Everett. That was blocked by somebody here in this building. It isn't right. I know that maritime law supersedes anything to do with the water and the lowering of the bridge. The boats have a right to go on that waterway, in other words. But we were supposed to, if you recall, was a certified letter sent to the harbor master? Did we do that?
Councilor, can I interrupt you 1 second? I think if it's all right with my colleagues, the chief of staff, I think wants to come up and answer some questions.
I want to finish my
Okay,
statement
go ahead,
first.
and then we'll have him.
I'd like to finish
We'll have
my
him come up
statement.
after you.
Letters were sent, and I believe Mr. Mangan spoke on the phone to someone from that office, if not the head or one right
Well,
below.
Under this
Just so you
circumstance,
know.
Mr. Mangan could have given him Councilman Matusky's phone number or Councilman McKinnon's number, because we are the lead sponsors along with Simonelli and Marchese. This bridge took 6 years. The frustration is that this bridge has been a nightmare for our community. And for those who don't know where it is, it's down near Boston Edison, okay? 6 or 7 years. Then they did a construction mistake, another 2 years. All this is during the construction of the casino, which really was a big nightmare. Now there's a guy up in that tower, they tell us. I've never seen anybody up there. But if you don't think there's going to be a lot more boating traffic in that area, you're really missing the boat here. There is going to be thousands of boats that want, let's go see the casino. They're going to open that bridge like nobody's business. But I did have a brief conversation with the chief of police tonight, and they're talking about maybe once an hour. But, you know, there could be 25 boats. Right now, one little boat, and I'll describe it as a small two-man boat, they lift the bridge, okay? And there's a 15-minute delay, and that blocks all the way up to the Rotary and into Everett Square. Now, you know, people are talking about, this is something we can actually do something about, you know, but we don't have the people aren't coming here. The harbor master didn't come even after the mayor told him to. Mayor of Boston, that is. But there's going to be a big increase in boating, and if you don't, there's three yacht clubs, and they all get friends with other yacht clubs. Hey, come on down, the casino's right up there. I know it's going to happen. And, you know, we have to be careful. And as Councilman McLaughlin said, you know, we took a tour of the casino the other day. It took us a half an hour to get there from City Hall and 25 minutes to come home. It's only a quarter of a mile. All right? And that's during the afternoon. What was it, 1 o'clock? You know, and it would have been nice if they offered us a bottle of water. You know what I mean? God forbid. Mrs. Hanlon was there, and, you know, I don't know about you. I was kind of thirsty after. I was insulted, okay? I don't appreciate the treatment. We are city fathers. This is a big deal going on here. No other city, I mean, and, you know, you may think I'm a sensitive guy, but no, they didn't even send a Christmas card. I find that disturbing. A $3 billion company coming into our city. I've been up here a long time. I get treated but better respected by cab company. And, you know, really, we got to take a role. We're voting on special licenses and everything else. We can't even get the bridge thing. And it's not the casinos. They're beautifying that water area. And it's meant to have boats there. You saw the dock. You saw the beautiful landscaping. And it's a beautiful thing. I couldn't believe it. But There's just something missing here, and I can't figure it out. Maybe they don't like me over there. That could be it, you know, but they didn't offer anybody else any water, did they? We took a 2-mile tour in the building, huh? I took 4 from the employees area, you know, as we were leaving. My lady friend, I mean, come on. Mrs. Hanlon's in her late 70s. I mean, come on. Where's the Savoir Fair here? Are we... I got news for you. Maybe the grand opening will be better. You know, I did get a shovel. It's in the back of my window of my car. And that's probably the nicest thing I've gotten, but I'm not looking for anything. I got no family working there. I got some friends that are working there, thank God. But come on, let's just have some savoir faire here. Jeez. But, you know, it's unfortunate the harbor master is not here. Okay? You know, and I'm very disappointed. We're not talking about oil tankers going through there like they do in Chelsea. We're talking about small boats, all different type of yachts. They're going to be coming in big time. And I just wanted to clarify when that bridge is going to go up and down, because that's going to really create a problem. And that's all I want to say. Thank you, Councilman McKinnon. I agree with you 100%.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McLaughlin?
Mr. President, on this topic, I do have one question that may be a little bit off germane, but you had sent out an email about 10 days ago appointing some members to a traffic commission. And the chief said tonight that he has been having a numerous amount of meetings regarding traffic. Why has no member of the city council been invited to any of these meetings that have been going on since you did your due diligence and appointed 3 or 4 members of the city council? I forgot how many, but why haven't we been invited to a meeting? There are all these meetings going on, yet nobody on the city council is included in any of them, and really have no input or any involvement in any meeting. And you did your job. You appointed the members, but again, we've been shown no real respect by being included on the schedule of the meetings and just letting us sit in on the meetings and be informed so that we can report back to our colleagues of what's going on. You know, when the WIN folks held the monthly meetings with different presidents that we had, including Councilor Capone and myself, we were informative. We were able to include our colleagues on what was going on during those meetings. That's not happening. And again, it's just another step that there's something missing here, ladies and gentlemen. There is a step in between that is missing, and I'm not sure what it is. I think I know what it is, but there's something missing. And if you want to take the time to invite Mr. O'Donnell up, that's fine, but I'm not sure that he has anything to add to this conversation this evening.
I think it seems
we're looking for people that aren't here in this building. A harbor master from Council McKinnon wants the harbor master of Boston, wants individuals that aren't here in the city of Everett. And if they're being told not to come here for a reason, I don't necessarily need to hear from our officials. I need to hear from those officials of why they were told. So I don't really see the need for Mr. O'Donnell to appear before us on this.
I think the communication was there at the beginning, and it's fading. It's
fading
it's
is
fading.
an understatement, but I agree with you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. There was a motion to call the chief of staff up.
Second.
There
I'll make that
Yes,
motion.
Councilor Florio did. Did I have a second on it?
In all fairness, if we're accusing someone in the building of doing things,
Right.
let's
I
at least
think
hear
he
from the
should-
horse's mouth.
Can I get a second on the motion? I need a second on the motion to invite him up. Second. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. O'Donnell, can you explain to us why these people are not coming up? Have you had communications with them?
No, I have not, and I apologize because I was at another meeting prior, but I wasn't here to speak on that. What I would like to speak on, because I cannot answer for why those people are acting in the manner that they are acting, but there were 2 points that were brought up that are directly related to this building, the council, and the administration. One, which was most recently mentioned, and it was agreed upon at these meetings that the council would be informed that representatives should be attending these meetings, or at least invited to them. So I will follow up with, people from City Hall don't go to these meetings, but I will follow up to see why that isn't happening, why the 2 representatives from the council aren't at least being extended the courtesy of an invite when these meetings do occur, because there are valid concerns. The other piece I wanted to speak of, which I just really wanted to clarify with respect to parking stickers and permits and everything. Yes, it is fair to say we have been meeting on this and discussing this in front of this very board since February. but we have been here, we have been given answers. The answers that we are giving may not be well received by all, but we have been giving answers. And we were prepared to come here last Thursday at a meeting as the only agenda item to give more answers, and that meeting was canceled, and that meeting was not canceled by the administration. So I just want to clarify that we're working very diligently to continue on keeping an open and transparent process with respect to all that's going on leading up to this casino opening, and we will continue to do so.
But in regards to this harbor master that didn't come over, it says it had something to do with the engineer. Is that the city engineer or the wind engineer?
I would have to follow up on that. I don't have an answer for that, Counselor.
Okay.
I-
I'd like to get an answer on that.
I wasn't involved in a discussion along those lines either way.
Right, because I don't feel that anybody should have the right to tell someone not to come up here. You know what I mean? I have to agree, whether I agree or disagree with a person coming here, nobody has the right to tell them not to appear without letting the sponsor know, out of courtesy, saying, I can't be there that day, I have a prior commitment, or, but not to show up and say they don't have to come. I find that a little disturbing myself.
More detailed communication should be forthcoming, absolutely.
And the other question is, where's my shovel from the wind? I didn't get one, I need one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Napolitano, and then
Thank you.
Councilor McKinnon.
Right. I appreciate you bringing up the parking thing. Again, I realize that the meeting was scheduled for last week and was canceled when the Encore folks said that they're going to be unveiling their full traffic plan. Now, I'm very interested in hearing what they have to say, but I'm also very interested after that point to hear what the city has to say. I mean, all due respect, I mean, yes, you've been up here, but honestly, from our perspective, all we've heard is that there's meetings, no details. There has not been any details. I'm not saying that there hasn't been details to provide or that details are being held back. Again, I was content to wait till we had the meeting last week, and now that's been pushed back. Or actually, my understanding is if it was canceled, and Mr. Chairman, correct me, if we had it on the agenda and it's been canceled, it should be coming back to this agenda. Can't just die out there. There has to be some type of resolution. And even if that resolution is for it to come back to us, for us to motion to postpone it till after the presentation by Encore, that should be the proper motion. Right now, I can't get a straight answer as to what's going in other than the meeting was canceled. I don't think that's the case. But again, I'm content to wait till the big meeting on the 28th. Let's find out what it was canceled. There was no motion to postpone it, therefore it was canceled. But very interested in having a presentation from the city after we get the details on what Encore's travel, their entire
Master
plan is.
plan.
Because then that will open questions until the city's end. My big concern is that we're going to accept what that meeting has brought up, and we're not going to hear anything else. That's only part of the plan. They're telling us what their transportation plan is. Then we need to find out how that plan works into our concerns in Ward 1 and Ward 6.
Oh, without question.
Because, again, I'll say it again, I've said this over and over again since we first brought this up back in January, February. This is going to be a rolling problem. And if we're not ahead of it, if we're trying to address it in June and July, which is the impression I got during one of the individuals coming up here to speak on this, it's too late. The impact has already hit.
No, we're looking at the play beyond the play and trying to identify any downfalls that we may encounter and how to counter-approach those.
Okay. Because this, whatever benefit we get from the casino is going to be drastically overshadowed by the impact if we're not prepared for the influx of people coming into the city.
No, as good as the casino is for the city, we still have to maintain a quality of life for the people that were here long before the casino.
And that's all our concerns are in that area in regard to
And we're all
the
one of those
city and the
people.
traffic end. And again, whether information is ready to be presented to us or not, I can accept that it's not, and that it wants to be done in a more formalized fashion. And I honestly think, again, after we get the presentation on the 28th, then we're going to have questions how that's going to interact with us.
Oh, without question. We probably all will from both ends at some point, yeah.
All right, thank you. That's all I really wanted to say on that.
Counsel McKinnon?
Thank you, Mr. President, to our invited guests. Thank you for appearing tonight, Chief. I don't know if you were here for the whole thing, but there's
I
been,
was not, no.
for me, it's been an issue with getting certain requests out there to people. It's not been an issue with the request. It's been certain people that are in the city that are actually saying, we'll handle it, we'll do this, we'll do that. And rightfully so. We, when we make a request, we want those individuals here. That's what I'm accustomed to. When I was chair on public safety for many years, I actually had Homeland Security here because of that area. I had state, local, I had Army Corps of Engineers, I had everyone here because of that area down there. So I'm well-versed on everything that's supposed to be going on down there. And when I have individuals not coming because certain individuals here are not actually, or getting involved with it, telling them not to come, that's a problem. So I was a little distraught about that, to say
Oh,
the least.
understandably so, but all I'd ask, Counselor, that you allow me to ascertain what the case was with respect to that, because I hadn't been involved in any of those conversations with the outside agencies, and I was downstairs at another meeting while
Yeah, no.
this whole subject matter came
I
up.
understand, and perfectly so, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I mean, when I'm requesting from Boston an engineer to come before me, they call me after I speak to a mayor of Boston and then say they're coming, then I get word that my engineer says, no, I'll handle it. That's a problem. No one should be getting involved with our requests.
Yeah, that's why I'm
No
asking,
one.
allow me to, I agree and understand, so just allow me to look into that. if
That's
that-
one.
To ascertain
Today-
if that was the case.
State Police Marine Division was supposed to be up here. They called on Thursday. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mangan. They called on Thursday, and they said they weren't coming. Why? Come on up. I'd like to have Mr. Mangan before
And
us.
the podium here.
Council McKinnon, Brian Connors from the Mass, the State Police, and then also with the Gaming Commission informed me that they had ongoing meetings, I guess, safety meetings with area chief polices and stuff like that. And he explained to me that Chief Macy was well-versed on the situation that was, the bridge situation, everything what was going to happen down there, and he could easily come in front of you to explain it.
Now, during our discussion today, what I was requesting was, not because of the bridge, not because of the traffic, because we're handling it here, but the waterways. The Marine Division for State Police was asked to come here today. I don't think Chief Mazie knows anything about, being a skipper down there on,
I
in the waterways
can't
down there.
answer that, but Mr. Connors explained that there was multiple, police organizations, whether it was state or local, and it might have even been some federal, too. I know they've met with the Gaming Commission before, members of the Gaming Commission, in terms of, that whole operation stuff going on, but what the chief knows or what anybody else knows in detail, I don't know none of that.
I could probably expand on that a little bit. Trooper Connors is the trooper's liaison with the Gaming Commission
Yep.
and the Joint Task Force.
He's a
that we're putting
lieutenant on
together.
State Police. He's assigned to the Gaming Commission. I spoke to him 4 different times, 4 different occasions. I know who he is.
Okay, and he and the chief are working collaboratively on getting the Joint Task Force situated for the resort operation. So maybe that's what he was pertaining to with saying the chief. They've been meeting on a regular basis.
Sure.
Strictly for
That's what the
the
chief said
resort and
tonight.
gaming area.
He
So-
said, we'll be more in-depth on what's going on after this meeting that was canceled, mysteriously, whatever.
Yeah, so that might be something that's a little lost in translation. I don't know if that, I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say that Chief Mazie was telling him not to send people. I mean, again, that's something we could certainly ascertain, but I know
don't-
what they've been doing because.
I don't know about who said that, but what I'm saying is this, is that when they're not showing up and they told me they were going to come, that's a problem. So
Oh.
someone's obviously saying something to someone to have them not come here. And then when they call in the last minute on a Thursday, and here we are on a Monday, It's a little bit difficult to get the word out that they're not coming. And then I find out walking through the door. That's
But
a problem.
I mean, but in fairness, that very well could be a decision that was made strictly by Lieutenant O'Connor.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been, but obviously he talked to someone over this end to make sure
Well,
that
they've been
they were
meeting on-
well-versed on it.
I mean, they've been meeting on a regular
So,
basis, trying to
okay, and
hammer
here's
out
another-
a memorandum of
Chief,
understanding.
here's another situation. All right, so you've been meeting all this time. How many meetings have you been to, and why does the city council, the city fathers and mothers, don't have a clue of what's been discussed at those meetings? Don't have a clue. Someone could ask me today, what's going on at
They're-
those meetings? We don't know.
Counsel, they're trying to hammer out a memorandum of understanding as far as jurisdiction is concerned for the resort area.
Okay.
And that hasn't been fully completed or signed off on yet.
So why don't we know that?
Well, with respect to that piece, this is the first time it's come up. And I'm answering that for you. Well, I mean, again, that's still an ongoing process. It strictly comes with the law enforcement joint task force. That's all they're with respect to Lieutenant Connor and the chief of police, it's strictly related to the joint task force for public safety and jurisdiction on the resort grounds and the waterways.
So on the waterways, right, which is a 5-mile-an-hour zone, no wake zone, how fast are these boats gonna be going? Does anyone know?
If it's a 5-mile-an-hour wake zone, they shouldn't be going faster than that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the area down there, there's other issues that we do have down there as well. We all know that, don't we? Without saying it?
I'm not sure what that's pertaining to.
Well, you have an LNG facility. You have industry down there. You have multiple things that could go wrong at any moment down there. Homeland security-wise, that could happen down there. So, do you think that they might have wanted to have those type of agencies in too, to take a look at that?
Yeah, and I can't say that they haven't at
Well,
this point.
I mean, we don't know that. That's what I'm saying to you, Chief. I don't know that, so that's why I'm here, and that's why I was trying to get these people to come in and tell us, yeah, it's okay. Okay, it's fine. That's great. I had the chief for 5 minutes in the back, told him how I was feeling about it today. He said, we'll have something in writing for you, and we'll go over it on the, whatever, the 28th, I think it is now, because it got canceled. But we're getting close. This thing's happening in June. If we don't do something now and have everybody on the same sheet of music here, we're gonna be in a problem, I think, to be
Well,
quite honest with you.
But they are doing so now.
No, I
That's
know
what the
they
meetings are about.
But see, I don't want it to be reactionary. I want it to be
I assure you it's
plan
not that.
and
that's
not
not the
reactionary.
case.
Because if we see an out-of-control situation with traffic because the bridge is going up, that's gonna happen. And that's a problem, I think, which I discussed with Lieutenant Connors, discussed with the mayor of Boston, discussed with the engineering, once we started discussions on it, the bridge people were there in droves trying to get that thing done. Because they knew something's happening, and they need to know, they gotta give us some answers at that point. But now we don't have to worry about it because they ain't coming.
No, but Counsel, it's fair to say that everyone, particularly in this room, that's been having any part of
Yeah.
discussion about the opening of that, traffic is of the utmost importance, and no one wants to be negatively affected by it any more than need be. I
Right
mean,
now-
we're all
Right
in
now,
the
that's
area.
the main concern with the residents in the area. They're getting negatively impacted by it now, and the casino isn't even open.
No, we recognize that. That's,
Yeah, so we need to
Yeah.
we need to be able to say, this body needs to be able to say, hey, we have a plan, it's in play, this is what we're doing, this is what's gonna happen, and the layout of the land.
I'm quite certain we'll be able to say that after the
I hope so.
presentation.
I really do hope so. I mean, do you feel I'm kind of frustrated here because.
Counsel, I don't
never
want to
really
kid
had-
I don't want to kid him, but
Yeah,
5 minutes is
I'll
just
be
about
short
it.
and brief right now. I mean, right now, I always wanted to say, yeah, this is what's going on. Have an idea of what's happening. We have none. This body should have every idea of what's happening down there and not be left in the dark, because it's not fair to me or my colleagues. So, that being said, Maybe on the 28th, we can get something.
I'm
And then we'll
quite
be
certain you will.
satisfied with that,
Mhm.
hopefully, and if not, what do we do then?
Hmm?
What if we're not satisfied with it? What if we say, no, this ain't satisfying us, we need to do something else? What do we do then?
Just as the wall
Drop
says,
dead and
we'll,
punt?
no, just as the wall says, we'll, address them openly and honestly, and, I mean, you guys, everyone here is very well experienced in the process of government, and, every once in a while, you do hit a roadblock, even if you think you have the foolproof genius master plan, but everyone is willing to, be open to discussion, as John Hanlon mentored me many times and everything. I totally disagree, but I'll let you convince me. And, and I think that's what will continue to happen in the process.
My last question is, will we be able to revisit this if there is a traffic issue? And
Oh,
will they be able to actually accommodate our city if there is a problem with that traffic?
Oh, we have to revisit anything that might potentially negatively affect the city on a continuous basis, whether it be July, August, or
Sure.
3 years from now.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
that's part of the whole process. Yeah.
Thank you for your time tonight, Chief.
All right.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McLaughlin and Councilor DeFlorio.
Thanks, Mr. President. Mr.
And
President,
Councilor Capone.
we have been told there is numerous amount of meetings going on, and I believe there are, but not a single member of this city council can tell anybody what is going on in these meetings. And they've been going on, I'm sure, for a long period of time. And again, nobody can tell anybody in the city. We all get asked questions, I'm sure, every single day about traffic and about the impact to this community. So to say that there's been answers coming forward, I'm not sure where they've been coming, because I haven't got any of them. We've had discussions, Mr. O'Donnell, and all due respect, but
all
we
due
haven't got
respect,
any
Sergeant
answers.
Gaff, again, I think we need to separate the two entities of what the Department of Transportation and the Encore Group and Homeland Security and those meetings. I was speaking particularly to when we're speaking about Wards 1 and 6. Sergeant Gaff, Ms. Gregory, and myself have been up here several times answering the questions. The overall grand scheme of things, I know would have probably been addressed at last Thursday's meeting, but it will be addressed at the next meeting.
And one of the biggest answers we've been told is that the issues are going to be resolved as they appear. As they come up, they're going to be addressed. They're going to be worked on and addressed as they come forward after opening.
Well,
of the
issues that come
casino.
up that may be unanticipated will be
For Wards
resolved.
1 and
That's
6.
citywide. I mean,
Citywide,
it
I
could
agree.
trickle-
But no, I just
mean,
want to clarify the meetings we're
yeah.
talking about. If we're talking about the Ward 1 and 6 meetings, we were told as issues come up in those wards, they'll be addressed.
Yeah,
So-
issues that we may not have seen or anticipated and everything like that. Yeah, everything is going to be changed, for lack of a better term, for all the residents to beat the path of least resistance when they have to go and travel around the city. Because, I mean, quite frankly, there's a lot of people are very happy that the resort's going to come and what it's going to bring, but a lot of people aren't the least bit interested in it.
Absolutely, and I agree with you.
Participating in any of its activities. And, those are the people we really have to, pay attention to, because, like I said, some have been here long before both of us.
Absolutely.
And, they deserve that courtesy.
But the most common answer we've been told is that when a problem arises after June 23rd or whenever the casino opens, the problem will be resolved at that point.
So
there's-
absolutely addressed and resolved to the best of our abilities.
But as of now, is there a plan in place for Wards 1 and 6? Because we don't know about it, if there is a plan in place for Wards 1 and 6 to deal with traffic and parking. Tonight, we don't have any information. We've been given an answer, which is it will be addressed when it arises.
Well, no, I mean, we have the residency program going down to, towards the casino, and we're going to address, Ward 6 will be more clarification the 28th, but we're not looking at a full-time 24/7 residence parking for the time being. Because there are a lot of businesses that could be negatively affected there. However, if we see that there is a need for that, I mean, we address it once that need is identified.
Okay. And just to bring my colleagues up to speed a little bit on the meeting.
Councilor, I don't want to, I don't want to cut you off. We're on 14 for the vessels.
Yep.
I know
okay.
I think this may have to go to committee or a special meeting.
I just was going to talk about the meeting that was postponed from last week, but that's fine, Mr. President. That's fine.
Okay, you want to?
I can, Counselor, it's a Counselor's piece, but we discussed it, so it's whatever you want to do.
Councilman, you still got the floor. Do you want to explain that?
It's up to you. I don't want, So just very briefly, Councilor McLaughlin and I and the president all discussed this very briefly. Because you have a meeting on the 28th that's going to go even more in depth, they sponsor the piece, and the president of the council said, why don't we just cancel the meeting? We'll meet on the 28th. We are going to still meet on the 30th for Wards 1 and 6. It didn't just disappear. It is to get more information at one meeting, and hopefully you get enough information. Maybe you don't need this, and if you do, you have a meeting 2 days later to discuss and further specifically on Wards 1 and 6. So that was what the determination of the sponsor, the president, and they included me because I have to either cancel the meeting or not. So that was generally it. I mean, Councilor McLaughlin can obviously speak more in depth to it, but just so you know, we didn't just cancel it and it didn't just disappear. We were working with the clerk of committees and the president and the sponsor the whole time.
And just to add on that real quick, Mr. President, the reason was because that is a 6 p.m. meeting before our city council meeting. So we only have 1 hour to talk about traffic, and we all know that we're going to need more than 1 hour to have a presentation and to talk about it in depth. That's why we set the April 30th meeting 2 days later, so that we would have the chance after the 1 hour presentation to be able to do so. Second factor is I was told that individuals that were appearing that evening were on a tight time schedule of how long they could appear here for, that they could only be here for a half hour time-wise. So I knew that that wasn't going to be sufficient enough to talk about probably the biggest issue the city of Everett has faced in the last decade, if not longer, which is traffic in the city. A half hour of an individual's time was not going to be accurate. So that's why we decided to go this path, to get the information on the 28th, come back in 2 days, and let's have a full discussion for however long that takes to try to get this worked out one way or another. That's where we went with this piece last week.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Florio, you still want the floor? Councilor Florio, you still want the floor? I have Councilor Capone and then Councilor Matusky if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to ask the Chief of Staff, but because the Chief of Staff mentioned that it wasn't the administration that postponed it, we just got the clarification of what it was.
Yes.
And I appreciate the explanation, but for the same reasons that have been discussed here, this entire body voted to have that in front of an entire body. And then for several individuals to make that decision for this body, I'm not happy about that. So I just want to state that. Because it was dealing with parking issues for Ward 1 and Ward 6 with regard to the casino. I know that we put it on the tail end for the 30th. I didn't know what the reason was for the cancellation. I know what it is now, but I'd like to know what the city's doing up front. Then we could get the encore meeting, and then maybe we need another meeting for clarification afterwards. So I just didn't appreciate that the thing was postponed unilaterally like that.
Councilor Matusky?
Thank you, Mr. President, and to the Chief of Staff, Kevin, I want to offer my condolences on your brother's passing, by the way.
Thank you.
You can understand the frustration here. Councilor McKinnon kind of
absolutely.
eloquently said it. Without,
absolutely.
You know, we're reasonable people. We are the councilmen in this city, okay? This might say Encore Boston Harbor, but it's entirely in Everett. And I just thought, and a few other members up here thought that we'd be treated a little bit better than we have been treated, okay? With information, we are the ones that are going to be taking the complaints. You understand, and the mayor's office too.
No, and I agree, and you shouldn't get that information third hand
But
from a
this-
third party.
This is something we thought, the sponsors of this piece and other members, that we could actually get some answers to, you know, how often the bridge would wait. Now, the chief of police said maybe once an hour. So, you know, that was nice information that he gave me and Councilor McKinnon tonight. But, you know, there seems to be a blockage here with something at City Hall that certain councilmen request, and that when we put something on the calendar, we like the person to come. We don't want the engineering department to say to a guest that we potentially asked not to come. That isn't right. Okay?
Oh, no, I understand, and I will look at
You know, I
that, yeah.
expected a lot more. And, you know, I'm an easy guy to please. I'm a very simple person. And I just thought this was going to be a nice occasion to be a councilman after all these years. And It's funny to certain members in the audience tonight, and he knows what I'm talking about. You know, this isn't fun, okay, at this point. This is going to be a little more work for each and every one of us, and don't kid yourself, okay? And that's what I'm getting at. We are going to lay this on the table till June, and maybe after the 28th we'll get some extra information, but it's not your fault. You do a wonderful job, by the way.
Thank you.
In the, you know, and for the mayor's office. But, you know, I don't know if anybody else feels the same. You know, I'm not trying to get along with anybody, okay? With the casino people, I want to get along. But there just is a big blockage here, and I don't get it. I don't get it, and I don't think it's right. We are city fathers. This resort is in Everett, not in Boston, not in Somerville. We requested a pedestrian walkway, which may be needed, and they said they're going to look at that. People are wondering about how they're going to get into work. And this bridge thing is something I thought we could actually get some information on. But with that being said, we'd like to, I want to excuse the chief of staff with the customary thanks. And actually put this on the agenda for the first meeting in June.
June 10th.
June 10th?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Council McKinnon.
And that will give us an opportunity to hear what the plan, the master plan is going to be. And maybe we can actually get more information on that, or have some hard copy that we can take a look at prior to the meeting of that night. So then, in June 10th, we can actually come back and say.
And we hope
yea
it's
or
the
nay.
final plan.
Yeah, this is the final plan.
Don't we have a meeting the 28th, Ken? Presentation?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
And then you'll have one the 30th. You're going to have two in a row. Did they vote in favor of that? I don't remember hearing.
Was there a second?
Aye or, yeah. I
There's a
didn't hear the
second on
ayes.
that. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Item number 2.
Suspend the rules, take item number 15.
Seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Ayes have
yep.
it. You read 15 and
Just 15 right now,
just
right?
15. Okay.
And, Mr. President, item number 15 is a resolution offered by Councilor Rosa DeFlorio that the Planning and Community Development come to the next meeting to explain what information is given to new residents moving into the city.
They did give us a package. Everybody has the package. It'd be great if everybody can look over it. I'd like to refer this to a committee. I know we have quite a bit coming up. There's the budget hearings, committees on the 28th, so I don't know what this body's gonna do as far as July and August. If we're gonna have one meeting in July and one in August, or if we're not gonna have any meetings at all. So my recommendation is that we could send it to the Community and Business Development, and then if it goes there and we have other items there that we're taking care of license situations, we can talk about this. If not, then we can always postpone it for the fall. It doesn't matter. As long as it gets done, it gets done the correct way. But I'd like to thank Tony Souza and the Department of Plan and Development. Thank
So you
you.
want to send it to committee to
Community and Business Development.
seconded? All in favor?
All right.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
I'd say you make a motion to take 19 and 21 collectively and send them to the,
I have another one. Yeah,
and refer both to the Ways and Means Committee.
20 was already taken, correct?
Right, yep.
19 and 21. So I'll read them and
19,
then I'll read
21.
the motion. I just need them to approve to take them out of suspension.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it to read 19, 21.
Item number 19, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese that a moratorium be put on the construction of all new buildings from the Rotary going north on Main Street and Broadway, as well as Chelsea Street and Ferry Street for a length of between 1 and 3 years. Item number 21.
Maybe you speak on 19, I'll wait till you read. Okay,
Well,
I'll
you
wait till you
want- You
read
told
them.
me to take them, so we'll read them and
Okay.
then... Item number 21, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael K. Marchese that the city consider changing the personal property exemption from $50,000 to $100,000 to help businesses in the city.
Council Marchese on 19.
I don't see anybody up here to speak on either, that's why. I'd like to get the, who's the city planner, Mr.? I would like to have Mr. Souza come up, and I'd like to invite Mr. Souza to that meeting for the moratorium, if we could.
Where did you want this sent? You said both of them to Ways and Means?
Well, yes, Ways and Means, like, it's probably going to be about a month anyhow.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want
Yep.
to write it.
And also, okay, wait a minute. 21, I would like to invite, what's the name, Mr. Deverell from the
BJ
Board of
Deverell,
BJ to come up for that meeting also, if we could. And on number 19, I believe, I want to amend it for Elm Street also. That's why he's going to have that.
So,
So you want to amend 19, add Elm Street?
Yeah, to have Elm Street on it also as
I'd have
part of
them
the moratorium.
vote on that first.
So we vote on the,
All right, so amend that for Elm Street.
a
to be added
motion to
19.
amend number 19 with Elm Street.
Yep, Counselor
Council
Napolitano
Napolitano second it. All in
Right.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have to add Elm Street to it?
That's
Yep.
amended, so,
And we'll be inviting Mr. Souza to that one.
Yep.
Yes.
And because you're referring them to committee, it's acceptable that you vote on them together, I
Okay.
think, since they're just referrals. Collectively, right, 19 and 21?
All in favor to ask Tony Souza to Ways and Means for 19?
BJ Deverell.
And on 21, invite Mr. Devereaux to Ways and Means also.
Okay.
Correct?
Yep.
Correct.
All in
Ayes have it.
favor?
Excuse me?
All in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Please suspend the rule and take item number 30.
Clerk, can you read number 30 on the agenda, please?
Item number 30. Mr. President, is an order offered by Councilor Rosa DeFlorio. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 17, Section 17.1B of the revised ordinances of the City of Everett, to add the name Ann M. Cardello to the Veteran Square dedicated to her brothers at the corner of Waverly Street and Buckingham Street in honor of Ann M. Cardello for her service to this great nation during World War II.
Councilor Florio.
Mr. Chairman, obviously, it's an honor to be on a piece like this, and I hope all the city councilors would join me to add to their names. The pole that was originally there with the two brothers fell down.
Correct.
So the family has the pole, so we would like to add the sister's name, which is Ann M. Cadillo, to that pole. So we could please refer this to Ms. Jeannie Cristiano at the Veterans Commission.
It's in order to send it, so I would ask for a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Since you're adding a name to a destination.
Are we making a motion to add?
If anybody wants to add their names to it, we can amend it. It's up to the board. I
They
don't
do the
want-
whole entire council, I'm sure.
So the amendment would be to, the vote would be first to amend it to add the entire city council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it to add all the council to 30, sorry.
And it'd be favorable recommendation, favorable on the order, and send it to the Veterans Commission. Jeannie
Veterans Commission.
Cristiano.
Counsel Capone. Yes. Counsel DeFlorio.
Yes.
Counsel DePiero.
Yes.
Counsel Hanlon.
Yes.
Counsel Marchese.
Yes.
Counsel Matusky.
Yes.
Counsel McKinnon.
Yes.
Counsel McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counsel Napolitano.
Yes.
Counsel Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Della Sola.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays. You have so ordered.
'18, please.
Second, all in favor to take 18? The ayes have it. 18, clerk, when you're ready, read 18, please.
One moment, please. Thank you. Item number 18, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilors Anthony DePiero and Rosa DeFlorio, respectively requesting that Mr. J. Monte of Planning and Development evaluate the intersection of Corey and School Street and possibly add some more do not enter signs at the neighborhood's request, excuse me.
Do you have the
Councilor
communication on here, Mr. Clerk?
I believe I do, just a moment.
I've seen it.
I
read
do.
it, but just for the people at home.
There was a correspondence from Mr. J. Monte, I believe. Yes, here it is. I'll read it. Thank you for the opportunity to respond to the issue at the intersection of Corey and School Street. I've taken some time to look at the intersection and then identify several remedies to the issues of vehicles traveling the wrong way on School Street between Corey Street and Everett Square. In addition to signage, other options include modifications to the traffic signal, as well as pavement markings that would better indicate to drivers of the one-way street ahead. Planning and Development will work with the engineering and citywide department over the next couple of months to develop and implement a solution.
I'm pleased to hear that. I think all those would be helpful. And if Councilor DeFlorio has anything else to add, I'll indulge her, but I guess just refer back to Mr. Monti for action.
I'm okay with that. Second.
Okay with that, Counselor?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Seconded, all in favor? All opposed, the ayes have it. I think we're going back to regular business.
Are we?
Number 2, please.
Item number 2 is an order offered by Council Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby accepts a donation of $850 from Exelon for materials and program to increase knowledge in emerging topics in science. The check will be deposited into the library's Exelon Gift STEAM Books account.
Accept the donation, letter of thanks.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council DeFlorio. Yes. Council DePiero.
Yes.
Council Hanlon. Yes. Council Marchese.
Yes.
Council Matusky.
Yes.
Council McKinnon.
Yes.
Council McLaughlin.
Yes.
Council Napolitano.
Yes.
Council Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Delasola.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President. You have passed the order.
You read number 3 on the agenda, please.
Item number 3 is an order offered by Council Richard J. Delasola as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves the acceptance of a donation of 27 office chairs from BNY Mellon to the Everett Police Department.
Favorable action.
Accept the donation with letter of thanks.
Seconded, roll call vote.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Council DePiero.
Yes.
Council Hanlon.
Yes.
Council Marchese.
Yes.
Council Matusky.
Yes.
Council McKinnon.
Yes.
Council McLaughlin. Council Napolitano.
Yes.
Council Simonelli.
Yes.
President Delasola.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President. You have passed the order.
You read number 4 on the
Item number 4, Mr. President, is appointment offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president. That the Everett City Council hereby approves the appointment of 18 sworn ways for Exelon Generation at 18 Rover Street for an unpaid term of 1 year expiring June 2020.
Favorable action.
Second.
Council Napolitano.
On the motion, do we have the names of who these 18 people are?
I do. If they're not attached, I can read them. They're
Please.
employees of Exelon. We do this every May or June, roughly. Is it on the back? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, actually, I have it,
No
thank you.
problem.
Council McLaughlin.
So, Mr. President, I think the clerk just answered my question. So these are current employees of Exelon Gen?
Correct. They have to be sworn in, just like Joe Gaff does for this, on this municipal side, as our sworn way, or in our, we have 2 sworn ways, one for police and one in the building, City Hall. They have to have them, because they're sworn to scalers, for the scales, so they have to be sworn in by the city clerk annually. You have to approve, the mayor appoints them, you approve them, I swear them in.
So they work just on the Exelon
They work for Exelon specifically.
location?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think all but one employee is new. I mean, they're all former employees, currently employed and been appointed, except for one new person, that's
So
it.
they're all renewals except for?
We've already done before.
Okay.
Yeah. They said only one new one.
Already been moved.
Roll call
Yeah,
vote.
I think
We did it.
Yep. Favorable action on the order, Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon.
Yes.
Counselor Marchese. Yes. Counselor Matusky.
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Napolitano.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Delasola.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President. You have passed the order.
You read number 6, please. on the
Item number
agenda.
6 is a petition offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves the junk dealer collector license for renewal for Paul Matuccio, Inc. at 366.
Papers in order.
Yes, they
Favorable
are.
action.
Second motion.
Roll call vote, please.
Council Capone.
Yes.
Councilor DePiero.
Yes.
Councilor Hanlon.
Yes.
Councilor Marchese.
Yes.
Councilor Matusky.
Yes.
Councilor McKinnon.
Yes.
Councilor McLaughlin. Councilor
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli.
Yes.
President Delasola.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays. Mr. President, pass the order.
You read number 7 on the agenda.
Yes. Item number 7 is a petition offered by Council Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president that the Everett City Council hereby approves a new open-air parking license for Ministerio Monte de Sion at 108-114 Spring Street.
You're good.
I would,
Council Napolitano, and then Council Capone.
Thank you. To the chair, to the clerk, is this going to involve, are they going to be paving this property?
yeah, so this needs all kinds of work. I've spoken to the building department, they've signed on. If you approve it, it's approval with the understanding that you should comply with all the current zoning ordinances. I have a note here that I wrote from Mr. Desmond. We have been working closely with this. This is a church. He's leasing the property. He is also, I think he's paving it to have some cars there, because I believe he's going to be able to, at some point, raffle a car off. It might even be raffling a car off currently as part of his church. And he was looking to have some open-air parking. So, I mean, this is a new license. Obviously, my recommendation is for something like this, for you guys to meet the person and postpone this to, or send it to CBD. Obviously, your call. But I have met with him a bunch of times, but there are some questions, I'm sure, that will arise from this.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the condition of the property down
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's in
work.
really rough shape. And the
he is
flooding,
working.
constant floodings down there don't help the situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, I would definitely like to hear more from the petitioner. I'd like the motion to send this to Community on Business Development
Second.
and invite the petitioner.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose, the ayes have it. Read number 8 on the agenda, please.
Item number 8 is a petition offered by Council Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president that the Everett City Council hereby approves the junk dealer collector license renewal for Second Street Iron and Metals at 285 Second Street. All papers are in order.
All the papers in order?
Yes. Council Capone.
Yes.
Councilor DePiero.
Yes.
Councilor Hanlon.
Yes.
Councilor Marchese.
Yes.
Councilor Matusky.
Yes.
Councilor McKinnon.
Yes.
Councilor McLaughlin. Councilor McLaughlin. Councilor Napolitano.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Delasola.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. President. You have passed the order.
Read number 9, please, on the agenda.
Yes. Item number 9 is a petition offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president that the Everett City Council hereby approves a new special license for extended hours of operation for Encore Boston Harbor at 1 Broadway.
Council McKinnon and Council McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. President, I'll ask the echo for the question that was just asked. Is this going to be postponed at any point, or should it be postponed?
Yeah. There's
Till
no,
we get answers for 34?
yeah, that's what I was going to
So what
suggest.
should we, what's,
To
what
postpone
direction?
it to the next meeting, because
Just
you're
postpone
going
to
to
the
have the
next
other
meeting?
one on there. I mean, don't forget, we do have an extended hours license, and they'd be granted under the old one, but we're
Sure.
trying to grant it under the new one. It's just an easier process, so I would postpone it one meeting.
Motion
not a
made
problem.
to hold us over to the next meeting.
Second motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. Postpone it to next meeting. Read number 10 on the agenda, please.
Item number 10 is a petition offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves the psychic fortune teller license renewal for Psychic Boutique of Everett at 1936 Revere Beach Parkway. All papers are in order.
Favorable action.
Seconded. All in favor?
Nope.
Oh,
Roll call,
sorry.
Mr.
Roll call.
President. Yep, no, it's a roll call, Mr. Counselor. Counselor Capone.
Yes.
Counselor DePiero.
Yes.
Counselor Hanlon. Counselor Marchese. Counselor Matusky. Counselor McKinnon.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
No.
Counselor Napolitano. Counselor Simonelli.
Yes.
And President Delasola.
Yes.
8 yeas, 2 nays. You have passed the order. Granted the license. Item number
11, please.
11. Item number 11 Mr. President, is an ordinance offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano as president. Be it ordained by the Everett City Council that Section 3-33, keeping hens and poultry of the revised ordinances of the city of Everett, be amended as follows.
Councilor Napolitano.
Thank you.
Councilor.
Through the chair to the clerk, has this been amended, or do we need to pass the amendments first?
So, I know it's been a few weeks. 3 weeks ago, I came up and spoke before you. Planning did not see it fit to put it in zoning. So they did not make any amendments. Your recommendation was to send it to them and make zoning changes. They sent it back and said, we believe this goes in zoning. My recommendation in my discussion with our health director, had seen, and she's a Board of Health agent in another community, is the Board of Health regulates it. We are one of the few cities that actually put it in an ordinance. So the recommendation or the ask from them is to remove it from ordinances, delete it from our ordinances, and give the full authority to the Board of Health, who understand the regulations, really the authority in this, and they would be doing the inspections anyway, and they would make the determination on the cages, the sizes, the regulations, because it's really in their authority. So that was their ask, and
But Section 3-33 is on the books.
correct. So
Okay, so-
instead of doing it as amending, I would think we should, if you're going to take
Return
their
to
recommendation,
sponsor, right?
is to keep it here, amend it to delete, because this is only for enrollment anyway, and then I'd have to post it as a deletion. And then the Board of Health would take over the regulations and draft it their own. Because they've already actually approved So the Board of Health had asked us to make some recommendations.
No, I understand that. It's the mechanism in place that you lost.
Gentlemen,
So
Councilor
you-
Napolitano has the floor, please.
So you're saying is we need to approve it, to
No.
delete it?
No,
Or we need to keep it, we just need to extend
No, what we have to do is, originally we asked to amend it, right? But we're not going to, if you're not going to keep it in ordinance, my recommendation is to make a motion to amend it to delete the whole section, the whole ordinance, and allow the Board of Health to regulate it, because they already have the regulations. They passed regulations to send to us, you know what I mean? So that was,
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to motion to amend this to delete Section 3-33.
Second.
yes, you're going to delete it, and then the Board of Health will take over control of the regulating authority. Yeah, they'll regulate it. That's who regulates it in other communities, and, I don't right now it's in an ordinance, it falls under them anyway. You're gonna delete the ordinance, but then the regulating authority will be the Board of Health. Right, which is allowed. Then change the ordinance to not allow them, I don't know, that's your decision.
Gentlemen, on the motion, I get Councilor Capone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we go rescinding the ordinance, I don't know exactly what the Board of Health is looking to do. I know that they are professionals. I'm sure that they'll do what they think is right. But before we rescind this, I would request from them what they would be suggesting as regulations, because we may not be comfortable with those regulations.
Yeah.
And right now, it isn't an ordinance, so before we give that power away, let's see what their proposed regulations would be. So I'd ask that we refer to the Board of Health with a response back for our next meeting.
On the motion,
Because
Council.
they only meet once, I would probably give them to a little longer than
Okay,
that.
first meeting in June?
Yeah, that might be more fair.
We could do it for the first.
Yes, Councilor Napolitano on the motion.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion, and I'll actually resubmit. Actually, if this is going to be, if we need feedback from the Board of Health, then I would actually suggest we send this into Legislative Affairs, because they're the recommendations can made, and they'll make the recommendation what to do with this particular ordinance. And this way here, we can save ourselves a step. So my motion, I'm going to rescind my original motion.
Okay.
And I'm going to motion that we send this to Legislative Affairs and invite a representative from the Board of Health.
No,
I'm not opposed to that,
okay,
but
Councilor Capone.
I'd like to see it, rather than come in, have a meeting, and have them tell us what they think it's going to be.
Correct.
I'd rather see it.
Just very briefly, I
Yeah.
don't want to make this meeting any longer, but the only changes that they originally put in were, they just, one moment, Yeah, there's,
Because, Mr. President, the whole purpose of the zoning change was to make sure that the housing structure was far enough away from lot lines for neighbors, away from the dwelling residents of the inhabitants. So we wanted to make sure that it was in everyone's best interest. So I don't know, I understand that the zoning board didn't think that that was something that they should get in the middle of, and it could be referred over to the Board of Health. And it may well be that that's the way it goes, but I'd rather see what they're proposing in advance.
Yeah.
But either, I don't think it's a crucial time issue, so committee's fine. And I'll withdraw mine. That will take something else off our agenda for the next meeting.
and just
then we'll
originally,
go
they
from
just
there.
sent some amendments, and then we
Okay.
sent it to zoning. Really, they just wanted you to make the small amendments.
Okay.
And then we decided to send it into zoning, so.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to delete it, you can keep the authority and then do it
Okay.
too. But they only had a few clerical things,
Okay.
and we went to zoning.
So it
That
might
was
be
the
best in
confusion.
committee then to
Yeah.
see what's going on, and Councilor Napolitano's motion's well made.
So the motion is going to be,
Legislative Affairs to invite the Board of Health to come
Councilman,
and
can
explain
you
their amendments.
second it? All in favor? All opposed? Yes. Councilor Hill, do you have a question?
You have first motion to postpone it, you just can't disregard that.
A committee, yeah, committee takes precedent over correct, but a committee takes precedence over postponement. Because it has a definite
Committee.
place, that takes precedence. Correct, former Mr. Clerk? I mean, yeah, no, absolutely.
So the motion
That's-
was,
That's
the
how I
motion was
remember it.
made, the motion was made, it was second, and it was passed.
Right.
Thank
To
you.
send it to Legislative Affairs and Elections to invite the Board of Health and the Director. Okay. Item number 12, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor John Leo McKinnon that Senator Dita Medical and Representative McGonigal update the City Council on medical cameras in ICU for patients entering ICU after serious complications after a medical issue.
Councilman McKinnon.
I spoke to the rep and also the senator. They asked that I hold this over to June, the first meeting in June. I think it's June 10th.
June 10th.
Yes.
Yeah, June 10th.
Seconded.
Yes, postpone. Thank
Councilor
you.
McLaughlin, on the motion?
Thanks, Mr. President. On the motion, I just want to ask Councilman McKinnon, he had referenced previously a movie that this was in helpful information regarding, and I was just wondering if you could give the name of that movie again. If you don't have it, you can give me a call tomorrow. That's okay, Councilman. But I'm just wondering if the senator and the representative have watched that video, and I'd be interested in watching that as well.
They actually have, and what we're waiting on now is there's a representative that is a physician at one of the major hospitals in the area.
Okay.
And he wants to actually maybe show up and discuss what we're talking about. And I will get you the name of the movie.
Okay.
But
That'd be great. If you can do it tomorrow, no problem. But I just wondered if the senator and the rep had watched the video. Thank you.
From what I'm hearing, they did, so, and that's what the end result is going to be, they're coming, so.
So the motion was postpone it to the June 10th meeting. Seconded. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Read number 13 on the
Item
agenda,
number
please.
13, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael J. McLaughlin that is honor the mayor and the CFO appear at the next meeting to give an update on any recommendations that have been made from the School Review Commission and to see if an audit has been done on the school department and if a blue ribbon commission has been formed to address school funding going forward.
Council McLaughlin.
Mr. President, thank you. We had this previously in committee, and we were hoping that we would have a report out from the Blue Ribbon Commission sometime in maybe May, middle of May. We see the budget was presented this evening, and I'm just wondering if the CFO, by chance, has any update regarding the report from the Blue Ribbon Commission.
He's right here, Counselor, if you
this
want to invite him up.
Ask for Mr. Demas to come for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Demas.
There's still some additional information that the task force is working on. When I asked for a percentage complete, one of the members told me that they felt they were about 75% complete. And to your point, I let him know that councilors were asking, we're, right in the middle of the budget process. They wouldn't necessarily in their report be making recommendations on actual funding, on a specific number. A lot of what they're going to be reporting on is going to be recommendations to make improvements, so what had transpired in the prior years wouldn't happen again in the future.
Okay, so do you see this anticipated report being something that would be helpful reviewing the budget on May 29th? The school department's budget on May 29th, their recommendation
I haven't
structure.
seen their draft,
Okay.
or where they are, but the sense that I got from the chairman was I don't necessarily think it would have been helpful or will be helpful to you during
Okay.
the budget process.
Okay, so and again, I had read a lot of the committee minutes from the School Review Finance Commission. Can we talk at that budget time of how to implement some of those into next year's budget? I'm just trying to figure out, there was all this work laid out over the past year, and a lot of good work laid out over the past year. Can we show some examples of their work in this coming year's budget, and what we're going to do differently than we've done in years past with all of the work that has been done in the past year? And we talked about we weren't going to do an audit. The mayor had, the city had decided that really the School Finance Review Commission was the audit, basically. But can you show some examples of how that work is being implemented into this year's budget?
Sure, I think that would be appropriate when you discuss the school budget. There is some new information that I can provide, or at least some more developments over the last week and over the past couple of weeks. One of the weaknesses that I believe the task force is going to recognize was the fact that there were 97 positions added to, or individuals that were hired outside of the budget process. And going through that process, and this is just one example, I had explained that on the city side that would never happen because on our personnel add change forms, one of the individuals that's required to sign off on that is the budget director. And when the budget director signs off on that, she's stating that, yes, the position is open and there is available funding. So one of the things that I've always said I'd like to see, and one of the recommendations that they're going to be making is for the Human Resources Department and the City Payroll Department to be much more involved in the onboarding of new employees at the school department. I've had a couple of discussions with the superintendent of schools about issues that I've encountered and transitioning a lot of those responsibilities back to the city, either through the payroll department or the human resources department. And the human resources director actually was down there meeting with the superintendent last Thursday about this very issue. So we're in the process of doing it more the way we used to do, with the city doing more of the HR work really for school employees. Because there's a large portion that we handle already, i.e. health insurance, and it'd be a matter of taking back the responsibilities that we used to have approximately 4 to 5 years ago.
Okay. Mr. Demus, were you involved in, briefly, I'm just going to end it here, were you involved in this year's preparation of the school budget versus years past? Were you more hands-on this year with the budget process for the schools?
I was. Not necessarily the preparation, but the review of the school's budget. So the school committee has a subcommittee on finance that goes over line by line of the school's budget and makes a recommendation to the full city council. And yes, they invited me, and I did go to those meetings, and I've been a lot more involved in the school's budget this year.
Than you have been in previous years? Okay, and we'll talk more about it at that point. But we will not see a report from the Blue Ribbon Commission before May 29th. Is that a safe bet to make at this point?
I don't know about May 29th, but certainly not before Saturday.
No, of course, before Saturday.
I'm hoping. Actually, when I was giving my budget report, Sam Tyler from the task force emailed me and said he had 4 other clarification points.
Okay.
So I'm guessing they're close to the end of their draft.
All right, so maybe we will see
I didn't even have time
something
to review what they were, but I'll
before.
respond to him first thing in the morning so that we can move this along.
And if you get it before May 29th, will you issue it to us so that we can coincide with our budget meeting on May 29th?
It's not up to me to make a determination or authorization to release the report. I know the process that they said that they wanted to do it in draft form so that everybody was on board with the report. So the draft report will be going to the mayor's office and will be going to the superintendent's office, just to make sure that everything in the report is factual and that everybody's going to be on the same page instead of saying that's not true or this is not true.
Okay.
But I believe because everybody has been so involved, it's going to be a very quick turnaround.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Councilor Capone?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to our guest. One quick question. I don't want to get into, the details, but do you know if the recommendations of this commission have been implemented in this budget for the school department?
Not knowing what their actual recommendations are going to be, it's a group of 4,
Yep.
so they have to come to a consensus. I can tell you one of the biggest challenges that we faced was dealing with the individuals that were hired without City Hall knowing until after the fact.
Right.
That we are in the process of addressing.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
we-
that's a guarantee hurt right there.
Yeah.
If you didn't budget for them, there's no way to cover it. So,
Exactly.
yeah. But, all right, so, because I know that the commission had been established, and we've been hearing about it, and things have been going on, but I would hope, and again, I guess you can't answer that question, but I would hope that whatever recommendations have been generated over this amount of time would have been at least partially implemented in their budget for the upcoming year. But I guess we can figure that out on when they come before us.
Sure.
So, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Councilor.
Very quick, Mr. President. I know we're all getting tired, but a constituent I just remembered raised the point recently that he would like to see the Finance Review Commission meetings televised on more of a regular basis, and I know you sit on that with me, and if you can make that happen, we'd all be appreciative. Thank you.
I'll make that happen.
Thank you very
Just a
much.
note that they are posted on YouTube after the meeting, but they're not live, but they are posted.
All set, Councilor? Any more questions for our guest? Thank you very much.
Mr. President, hold this over to the second meeting in June.
Second, all in favor? All opposed, the ayes have it. Hold it over to next meeting. Second,
Correct.
clerk, could you read 22 on the agenda?
Yes, I can. Just one moment, please. Item number 22, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Anthony DePiero that Planning and Development, as well as the Traffic Commission, consider some pedestrian safety measures such as rapid flashing beacons for crosswalks on Broadway from St. Teresa's to Werner Park.
Councilor DePiero?
Thank you, Mr. President. If we all look out the window, tonight is a perfect example on why this is needed. It's dark in the area. When visibility is impaired like this, around the St. Teresa's Church area down to Warner Park, people just don't stop in the crosswalks for pedestrians. And even during the day, because they're trying to beat the light, whatever it may be. Before I refer this to planning, I want to add Councilor McKinnon, where the other side of the street is Ward 4. Work with him together on this, so I'd like to make that amendment.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it.
And with that said, I'd like to refer this to Planning and Development. I've already mentioned it to Mr. Monty, and I know he'll be working on something for this area. Thank you.
Seconded?
As amended, right?
As amended.
As amended. All in favor? All opposed, the ayes have it. Give me number 23 on the agenda, please.
Okay. Item number 23, Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Anthony DePiero, respectfully requesting Mayor DeMaria and CFO Demus appear before the City Council to discuss to the Commonwealth's gambling proceed formula and what the city's options are in regards to the $35 million fine issued to Wynn Resorts by the Gaming Commission.
Councilor DePiero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did a little bit of research on my own about the state gaming proceed formula, and just to talk about the big bulk items, 20% supposed to go to local aid, 15% transportation, 14% education, state reserve funds, and so on. But I think this fine should be treated as something different than just gambling proceeds. all the concerns talked about tonight, the frustration from Councilor McKinnon and Matusky about the traffic and the parking, and Councilor McLaughlin as well, with the traffic, parking. We need to mitigate those issues, and that's what this money should be used for, in my opinion. I don't know if we're entitled to it. I think we are. I certainly believe we are, and I know most of the people in this room do as well. I'd like to hear from the mayor and what his thoughts are, and if there's any action the city can take to get a piece of that money, as I feel we certainly deserve it. And I don't know if any of my colleagues want to speak on this, but I'll yield to let them do so.
Councilor McLaughlin, and then Councilor Hanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I fully support this motion by Councilor DePiero. My one question is, I hope this isn't putting the cart before the horse, and I say that only because they haven't even agreed that they're going to pay the $35 million. We need them to agree to accept the the penalties that were fined against them by the Mass Gaming Commission. Until they are willing to do that, I don't know that we can discuss this, but I wholeheartedly agree with Councilor DePiero that those funds should be coming back to our city, the host community that it sits in. But I had hoped the mayor was going to be here, and I asked him if he could stick around because I wanted to know his input on whether or not he has heard if they're going to accept the recommendation. And what happens if they don't accept the recommendations and the penalties that have been levied against them by the Mass Gaming Commission? Where does this project go, and what happens at that point? I know they had till May 31st to be able to pay the fine. If on June 1st comes and they haven't paid the fine and they decide to appeal this, can the casino open on June 23rd there or abouts? I think that there is a dire need to get some of those answers as quickly as possible so that we as a community can understand the next several weeks of this development and where this all lies. I know everything is moving so fast with this process, and I'm not even sure if the mayor is in the form of this. But I had hoped that he would be here so that he could shine some light on this for us. But I fully support Councilor DePiero's motion on this, and I think that he is right on with this proposal. Again, I hope that we're not putting the cart before the horse, and that Wynn will accept the penalties and be able to move forward with the development. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hanlon.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did an investigation on this too, and what they're doing is that they're going to take this $35 million fine and divvy it out to the Commonwealth according to the formula that they've set aside for whatever profit they come out of the resort. However, the $35 million shouldn't be considered as a profit coming out of there. They didn't earn that money. They lost that money, and that wasn't lost due to gambling or anything else. It was lost because they lied to the to the Gaming Commission. And if they lied to the Gaming Commission, then they certainly lied to the city of Everett. So who gets the money? Well, the Gaming Commission says what it is, and the other person that they lied to is Everett. I think Everett should get it all. I mean, I really do. Why divide? How can you divide up something according to a formula for profits when this is definitely not a profit? It's a fine. That fine should come to the city of Everett. And that's my words on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DePiero?
If no one else has anything to add, where this was new business, I didn't expect to discuss it with the administration this evening, so I'll move to postpone for 2 weeks, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we have some more information on how to proceed. Thank you.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Read number 25, please, on the agenda.
Mr. President, item number 25 is a resolution offered by Councilors Michael McLaughlin, Richard Delasola, John Leo McKinnon, and Anthony DePiero, that the DPW Director Greg St. Louis and a representative from National Grid appear at the next Government Operations Committee meeting to discuss repairs being made to the roadway on the Ferry Street project.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, through you. My colleagues, one's named, but I know all of us have been approached by many residents in that area to ask us how we move forward to be able to rectify some of the condition of Ferry Street. Councilor McKinnon is the councilor from the district. I know Councilor DePiero has been actively working on trying to get this resolved, and I think that we may be on the right path to be able to get some resolution to this matter. But I think that we should refer this to committee and ask that the administration come before us to give us their thoughts on how we could actually hold the parties accountable that need to be held accountable so that the residents in the area can have a quality of life that they expect for the summer months and not have to hear the rattling of trucks going down Ferry Street with the potholes and so forth. I'll yield the floor to my colleagues who I know want to speak on this as well, but I think that's appropriate.
Second the council's motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. 26 on the agenda, please.
Item number 26. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilors Michael McLaughlin, Richard J. Delasola, and Fred Capone, that the DPW Director Greg St. Louis and a representative from Encore appear at the next Government Operations Committee meeting to discuss work being done on Island across from 66 Main Street.
Council McLaughlin?
Mr. President, again, I'm sure all of my colleagues are aware, it's the side of Santilli Rotary. It's across from 66 Main Street. They do such a nice job of keeping their property maintained well during the summer months. And if you go down there, as I did yesterday, there's tons of pieces of curbing all over the island. There's trucks and machines being parked there. And this isn't the first year that this has happened. This has been the last several years that they've been putting up with this. We know the casino is going to open in the very near future, which means hopefully most of the road work will commence and be finished by that point. And I just think that the residents of 66 Main Street, Everett Villa Co-op, deserve a plan of action to be able to resort that area back to how it used to look and even better from what they've put up with over the last few years. I don't know, I'll yield the floor to my colleagues if any of them want to add their names to this, be more than welcome to do so, but I think we owe it to the residents in that area to be able to restore this island or this side of this hill, really, to a quality of life that is acceptable to those residents, and maybe some upgrades with some benches, maybe on the other end towards the residential side. They talked about some benches being put down there and just some outdoor amenities so that they can be more appealing than they are today. Thank you.
Anybody want to add if, anyone want to talk from the chair here? This is a great piece. Again, this was on the piece last year on the agenda. The state owns it, and we're going back to the casino. We got ignored with the state of, it's their land, they can do what they want with it. And they've been putting up with this for a year and a half now down there. So I agree with Council McLaughlin that this has to be cleaned up, and when it's done, a couple of benches, a couple of trees, and beautify it better than what it was before they got there. But this got to be cleaned up quick. And I just wanted to make a comment.
Whoever wants to. Can we make a motion, if anybody objects, to amend this by adding the entire city council to this item?
Second.
Second.
Yeah, you're right, Council.
All right, we'll amend it for the members that are here. There's 9 of us. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. To amend it?
Second.
Seconded on that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, will you read number 27, please?
Excuse me. Item number 27. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael J. McLaughlin, the Mayor's Chief of Staff, give a written response as to why residential parking has been taken away on both sides of Unit Ave.
Mr. President, again, we heard from Mr. Kidd this evening, resident in the neighborhood, that this happened overnight. They literally woke up one day and parking was taken away from their neighborhood. We know parking is a premium on any street in the city of Everett, but to eliminate, even though it's a small street, a street of parking is detrimental to any neighborhood. And I'd like to see where this came from and why it was implemented, what the thinking process was behind it, because at the request of residents, more so even than Mr. Kidd, they need that parking in that area. You're on the backside of Norwood Street. You can imagine the people that come to the Norwood Street section, what they're doing to that neighborhood onto Liberty Street. So I'd like to ask that Mr. O'Donnell maybe give us a written response to why this was done, and will they revisit it to look at potentially adding the parking back at the request of the area residents. Thank you.
Seconded.
Councilor, written response back to you or the council? Do you want this back on the agenda? Do you want this back on the agenda with a written response? Okay, that's fine. Just want to make sure.
For next meeting?
Yep.
Thank you.
That's fine. I just want to write it right.
That was seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Council, can you read number 28 when you are ready?
Yes. Item number 28. Mr. President, there's a resolution offered by Councilor Michael McLaughlin, Fred Capone, and Richard J. Delasola Jr. that the DPW Director provide an update for the maintenance schedule for the community parking lot on Floyd Street at request of area residents.
Council McLaughlin?
Mr. President, thank you. Some of the residents on Floyd Street had contacted all three of us at different times throughout the last year, and I believe this piece we had put on the calendar previously last year, and I'm not quite sure what happened with the idea, but it's the part of the parking lot that used to be the old Lewis School. They gave back a section of that parking lot to the community and to the neighborhood down there. But unfortunately, it's just not maintained at the satisfactory of residents down there. The mulch has been a few years, it's been there, it hasn't been replaced. There's a large section of mulch that is just, the residents are wondering if they eliminated that mulch area that's not maintained, could they add even additional parking spots to it? And that's one of the residents had asked that they looked at that. But more so to just clean that parking lot up, remove some of the debris and the trash out of there, maybe replace the mulch if they're going to leave the mulch. So I'd like to see Mr. St. Louis give us some ideas of what they could do to make that parking lot look better than it looks today, because I drive by there almost daily, and it's pretty disappointing to see the condition of it. I'm sure my colleagues have also seen the condition of that parking lot. I know we have visited it together, Councilor Delasola and I. So I'd like to see Mr. St. Louis give us some ideas of how to be able to clean this up and for the residents in that area. If the councils have any points on this matter, feel free.
Council Capone?
And just whether or not it should be removed to allow for additional parking for the neighborhood.
Thank you.
So we'll make a motion that we table this piece for, postpone this piece for 2 weeks and ask that Mr. St. Louis, I'm not sure if it's.
Take a look at it.
Have him come up and give us an update, or just a written response, however he wants to do it is okay with us, with me.
Second motion.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk, will you read 29, please?
Yes. Item number 29. Mr. President, is a resolution offered by Councilor Peter A. Napolitano that the city solicitor provide a ruling on any Massachusetts state law restrictions or limitations, if any, imposed on Everett elected officials utilizing Oncar Boston Harbor once open.
Councilor Napolitano.
Mr. President, I had a conversation with Mr. Taco during the tour we took last week, and the thing is, there's a lot of aspects to state law as to what we can do, what we can't do as elected officials. One of the things that was mentioned on the tour as we're driving back is that the dry run for the casino that has been discussed amongst us over the past couple of years, Mass state law prohibits us from participating or even attending that event. Now, as much as I'm disappointed, it's a law. That's fine. But these are some of the areas that we need to get some clarification. Before this casino opens, and any of our members, any elected official from the city of Everett, this isn't just us, this is also the school committee, the mayor, before anybody goes down there, let's find out exactly what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. This way we don't make any mistakes. So I want a motion to send this to the city solicitor with a response at our next meeting. This way here, she'll give us a ruling, give us a presentation, so we know exactly what we're able to do down there legally without any problems.
Thank you. Councilor Matusky? And then
Thank you,
Councilor
Mr.
McKinnon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't hear that at the tour that I was on, so I wasn't part of that conversation. If I can just ask a question, are you saying we're not invited to the grand opening?
No, that's not what I said.
No,
What's the
What I said
soft
is,
thing you're talking
there's a
about?
grant, there's a
Excuse me.
dry, through the chair, if I could answer that question.
Councilor Gibb.
Yeah, I'd
We
like
are,
to-
Thank
there is plans for a dry run. That means the casino, by invitation, will run as it normally would run. You can't win money. Excuse me?
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right. If I could, I have the floor, Counselor.
You answer the
So,
question. Just to
during the dry
clarify.
run, it'll be with play money. That has been clarified by the people from the casino. But there are other aspects there, the alcohol, the food, other things that we were told by Ms. Taco that we would not be able to attend due to Mass state law. So to avoid any confusion, to avoid any of us becoming armchair experts, let's get a ruling from the city solicitor, so this way here, we know exactly what we're allowed to do, okay? I'm not here to debate this. It was suggested by the representative from Encore that we have our city solicitor clarify for us what the state laws are in relation to us conducting anything down the casino. And that's all I'm trying to do. I just want to make sure that we're all free and clear and not putting ourselves in a position that we may not be aware of. That's all I'm looking to do.
Okay. Back to Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, so far, we took a tour, not even a bottle of water, I mentioned that. Okay, and I just talked to Mr. Taco, he was in the back room. I think he thought it was humorous, but I'm not being funny up here. I put a lot of time and effort into this project, and I want to see it succeed and work for this community. Now, I don't have any relatives that are going to be working at the casino, okay? But I think that if you do have a relative, and then, and that's fine, you may not be able to vote on issues concerning the casino. That, I believe, is probably the case, and it should be the case. As a matter of fact, I don't think you should vote on any item that you see Councilwoman DeFlorio leaves the chamber when it comes to her husband's employment and working for a certain department. She leaves. Councilman Capone leaves when there's something to do with the library. Councilman Marchese leaves when there's something to do with his property down on Lower Broadway, mostly about the casino, and he's not even employed there. But I'm just saying, when you have these issues, I want it all clarified for everybody that works in this building. I haven't been treated special by any stretch of the imagination. And, I thought it'd be an exciting time to be a councilman. This is our time to, after all the years of putting up with the soot and the smoke and the trains and the planes and every other thing down there, and sections of Ward 1 that I was fortunate enough to represent for many years. But I don't see any extra privileges coming my way. And if we're not invited to certain events, that means nobody's invited, from the governor on down. You're going to exclude the city council? No, if you, you know what I think, Mr. President? I think that if you have a relative that lives in your home, we'll say, a daughter, a wife, whatever, and an issue comes up on this council floor, you have to excuse yourself or recuse yourself. Because you're, hey, geez. No. Those days are over for me. As a matter of fact, I want clarification from the State Ethics Board on school committee stuff and everything else regarding the, it's not just the casino. I've had...
Councilor, I think this topic right now is the casino itself.
Right, but Mr. President...
I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're going...
But there's been times when people say, I talked to the city solicitor and it said it's okay. I never saw anything in writing when it comes to some of these issues. I want clarification. I'm going to amend this to include the state. I want to know from, would it be the Gaming Commission or the State Ethics? Or both? I want to know what they say, not what the casino. I mean, I plan on taking my mother and my friends to this casino to see entertainment and have dinner. I mean, is that against the rules? What are we coming here for? Come on.
I think this is what the piece is on. We're going to get all the ruling. I hate to see you go in there with a family member and they deny us from going in, whatever the ruling is.
Special. I wouldn't doubt it. But I'll tell you right now, there's something going wrong, the whole scheme of things here. I told you the way we were treated the other day. And if anybody else felt a little bit off, I certainly did. My lady friend did. I don't know about anybody else. Leo McKinnon made the best decision of all, not going. Didn't even have room on the bus for all the people. But I'm just saying, this is supposed to be exciting, Mr. President.
Exactly.
And if you have a relative that works at the casino, yeah, there is a little bit of a conflict. And you serve on the council? Absolutely. And I also feel that way about other departments in the city, the school department, for instance, but I won't bring that up. But, you take a chance. I mean, go ahead, work, and everybody should work. There's nothing wrong with that. But, there is a price to pay, really. And this is not, I don't even know who, if anybody here works for the casino, you understand. But this is also for the city council office, too. This is for our legislative aid, and so forth, because it's a little bit of a conflict, I believe. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, but I agree. I want to know we're restricted as councilmen from going to the casino? I don't get it. I got a red card. I'm a signed-up member of this red card thing. I look forward to spending my 70th birthday in that casino if I'm alive. But, let's be real here. But then, that's my feelings on it. But I'd like to amend it asking the state and the Gaming Commission for their advice, if that's okay with the sponsor. City solicitor's fine, but let's go right to the meat of the bones here. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. You had 8 seconds, but you had 8 seconds, yes. Counselor McKinnon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could we have our city clerk actually just...
Nope, you're next.
Okay. Go ahead.
What was that, Counselor?
Thanks, John. Can we have our city clerk just actually, what
Just
he's
very-
already dug up?
Very briefly, I'm already started some of this process. Today, the city solicitor and I already spoke, because obviously the mayor falls under this category. So they've gotten a ruling on the administration. There is some paperwork that we're going to fill out. I'm going to pre-fill it out for you. That way, all 11 it looks the same. It's a disclosure. You know those disclosures they file in my office?
99.
We're also, my recommendation is to probably, not only with our city solicitor, but maybe have something drafted like the administration did by outside counsel. We do have that account. And have them write a letter, because we do need to probably formulate something to the State Ethics Commission. Just so you know, ethics does not give you general things. You have to ask them something specific, and it has to be about you. So you, Mr. Matussi, couldn't say, well, can I ask on behalf of Sergio Cornelio? Actually, that's not legal unless you have my permission. So I may have to get all your permission to ask the ethics a specific thing. I will discuss this in the morning, and doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the solicitor in 2 weeks before you, but I'm going to try to do some legwork prior, because we've already had a meeting, and it was just happened today. We just started discussing about it. I just wanted to give you that update. Do know there is some type of process that we're working on with the State Ethics Commission, and the city solicitor's been great about helping me as of this morning.
When will we all be able to sign
Yeah,
that document?
I don't want to give you a date, but I'm going to say ASAP. I would say in the next few days. I just want to clarify everything with the solicitor.
Yeah.
Well before the opening, and the soft openings. I want to get some clarification also.
And this should cover everyone in the room,
Right, and
all the colleagues.
and the solicitor is going to draft it, because I want it done 100% correctly. So she's
not
very
just-
good.
It's not just the council, it's the mayor,
I have,
it's
and it even covers me, because
employees or
there's,
anything?
just so you know, public employees and elected public are technically separate. So there's one for electeds and one for just general public employees. So we have to all look at it. An email went out to all the employees today to explain to them the process. So there is paperwork to be done, and I'm going to be getting most of it over the next couple of weeks. So, but I just wanted to give you a very quick heads up. There is a process, they're working on it, and the solicitor's office has been very good about helping.
So you'll get back to us?
Yeah, in the next couple of days, I'll send out an email, an informational email, once I have an answer.
Thank you,
That
Mr.
works.
Clerk.
You're very welcome.
Counselor
I
Hanlon.
hope that helped them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to get a couple of points squared away here. Start off with the soft opening, which is on June 17th. All city councils will be allowed to go. The problem is that you can't get the free food that they're going to offer. You can't, if there was some sort of a tab to get in, you can't forego that. You have to pay everything that everybody else has to pay. And I just wanted to say that could be changed at any day. However, what I do want to point out is there's 3,000 people going to this event, and I know they don't want to be there with play money. The point is that they will play with their own money. If they win, they will win what they win. If they lose, all losses will go to charity. The casino will not get 1 cent of it. I don't know what charities it's going to go to, but all of it will go to charities. So if you know a good charity, it might be a good time to go speak up, get a piece of the pie, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Capone?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm a little confused about what we're doing, because I think the intent of the piece is a good one, and the counselor wants to get a written response from the city solicitor as to what the regulations and restrictions are. I think we should get that. I said, none of us want to be in a position where we get embarrassed or even worse. We violate some sort of public policy, and then we have to answer for that. And on top of that, that's what the solicitor's office is paid for. So we might as well get the benefit of that.
Yes.
And get the response. So I'm not sure if the sponsor had made that motion, but to the extent that he did, I'll second it. If he hasn't, I'll ask for a response by our next meeting.
I apologize. Could you please repeat what that motion was?
I don't know if you made it, through the chair.
No, I actually made a motion, which was to refer it to the city solicitor
For a response
in
next
2
meeting?
weeks.
Excellent. I second that.
Thank you.
Second it. Council Matusky.
I'd like to hear from the Mass Gaming Commission as to what they say, because that's a new group, and this is like the only casino around. What do they have to tell us? They're the ultimate authority, wouldn't they be?
Not in this facet, because we're government and elected
All right,
employees.
and-
We're covered under the ethics law,
All right, so the city solicitor will contact them, I'm sure.
the Attorney General's office.
All right, my
Correct, of open
question
government.
is, if I was to hire my mother to work as a hostess
Mhm.
at the casino, if they will hire my mother as a hostess,
Yep.
would it be a conflict of interest for me to vote on anything to do with Encore? That's what I want to know. And I think it would be, but,
That's a great question. I don't have that
well, that's
answer,
the
but
question that,
that's definitely
Mr.
a
Clerk,
solicitor question.
this isn't just about if they're going to give us a free buffet. This is about people serving in government. And we've heard here over the years, oh, I got a piece of paper, the state ethics. I never saw that paper. If you're voting on something that's in the budget, as I said, Councilwoman DeFlorio will actually get up and leave. And I think that anybody that works for a certain department, I mean, let's be fair here. I'm trying to be nice about this, okay? It's bad enough the way they treat us to begin with. I don't expect much to begin with. But I don't want people voting where they have an interest, and it's a conflict. It really is. I mean, be serious. And it's, we let the school department get away with it here, but this I'm not going to let get away with it. So that's Mr. Clerk, this isn't my piece, but I know what the councilman wants to know what we're in for. I pay my own way no matter where I go. I'm not looking for any freebies. I just want to be treated with a little respect. And that's how I feel, Mr. President. Right now, it's... Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman,
Councilor.
I'd like to stand on a point of personal privilege. What exactly does this mean? Okay? I have a resolution that I'm submitting, and I'll be very clear. A ruling on any Massachusetts state law restrictions or limitations. If the council has another way to be able to word that, more power to him. But I'm asking for exactly what he's stating. Now, I don't know what he's implying, and if he is implying something, I am offended by that, because I'm not doing anything other than watching out for the best interests of every member in this room. And that's all I'm looking to do. I make a motion, I get all kinds of BS. I'm getting sick and tired of it. Been doing this over 20 years, and I'm getting very frustrated with people trying to treat me like I'm some type of amateur. Now, it's very clear what I'm asking. I just want to make sure that we all understand what limitations or restrictions, if any, apply to us. That's it. You want to read into it? More power to you. But there's nothing clearer than this. And I'm going to the legal head of the city of Everett, which is the city solicitor. I'm asking to make a ruling. She's going to make that ruling based on ethics, based on involvement, based on concerns whether people who are family members of elected officials who work there apply. Any. I don't think I can make it any clearer. And that's all I'm trying to do.
Thank you, Councilor. We have any more? I think this is going off track here.
I just want to
Counselor.
say that it wasn't meant to be personal. He's taken something personal. But from now on, I want to even know, Mr. President,
Counselor, my daughter started working last
Mr.
Monday.
President, I have the floor. He interrupted me, I
Gentlemen,
didn't interrupt him,
please.
okay? It's common sense that we know the rules. If you work for certain family members, and that's fine. I didn't bring anything up on the, but now that you mention this, but the city clerk knows my intentions. They're not to, this is not to, it's for any future member of city government too, okay, for the future. Okay, we gotta know what we're entitled to. Can you vote on something? There's 4 items on here to do with the casino. Are you, legally, can you vote on it if you have a relative that works there? That's the part that I want to know. Forget about the free buffet. Forget about the buffet. I'm not even interested in, you can't even get a bottle of water for crying out loud. Come on.
Counsel, I think everything your concerns are, I think his piece will answer it.
All right, well, he was talking about a soft opening. I didn't even know about that, June 17th. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, Mr. President. You have to send a message to this casino group that now we got a June 17th date, June 23rd. But, that's okay, because I know how it goes. But I'm going to pay attention from now on to this conflict of interest stuff. Enough is enough.
Thank you, Counsel. Counsel DePiero.
Very briefly, there's no need to beat this up any more than we have. With the magnitude of this, the nerves that have been hit, none of us want to get jammed up over something stupid. I would hope that you and the clerk would direct our solicitor to work with our outside counsel, but we've never have to use the line item. The money's in our budget. Make a call to our outside counsel, work collaboratively with them, and get us a ruling as soon as possible. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll make call if it's the State House or all the way to the Gaming Commission. We'll make the ruling. We'll get the ruling and let you all have the information. Counsel Hanlon and then Counsel Capone.
Call for the question.
Sorry, Counsel. Was that seconded? That was postpone it to response
Yep,
back.
I have it. I didn't want to write the whole thing.
All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Read number 31, please, on the agenda.
Excuse me. Item number 31 is an ordinance offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola as president, that in accordance with the provisions of Section 12 of the zoning ordinances of the City of Everett, the City Council hereby amends the zoning ordinances as follows. That the zoning map and zoning ordinance be amended to better reflect the intent of the Commercial Triangle Study Area. The affected area shall consist of the properties on Revere Beach Parkway, up to and including Bailey Street, the properties on Bailey Street, the properties on Lewis Street, and the properties on Paris Street, up to and including 75 Paris Street. This area, with exception to the 5 properties which directly abuts the Revere Beach Parkway, 25 Bailey Street, 2084 Revere Beach Parkway, 55 Lewis Street, 58 Lewis Street, and 60 Lewis Street, shall be reclassified as a dwelling district. The aforementioned 5 properties shall be classified as a business district.
Counsel Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. This piece is very important to the neighborhood that I actually live in. We all know the area. I had a conversation with the city planner, Mr. Sousa, tonight, and, this has to be done because you saw what happened up the street on Revere Beach Parkway with the storage facility. It kind of looks nice now that it's up, but the poor people on Chelsea Street will never have sunlight again and in the surrounding area there. But there is certain areas of this neighborhood that are zoned industrial, like where the railroad tracks are, in back of Paris Street. And the city planner is very concerned that if we don't protect this neighborhood from industrial, it could be another storage facility, in other words. And Mr. Vivalati was nice enough to send me all the information I requested. They had a meeting at the hotel on the Parkway the other evening. Envision Hotel, I'm sorry. And it was well attended by some business people, and I guess Attorney Latanzi is involved now, but this will protect those homes. And the property that they mentioned, the addresses, that's Richie Slush, that's the houses that are right off the Parkway. So it's not affecting the actual neighborhood. And whatever's residential now can continue that, but it'll be zoned as business, so that if something was to happen, that the businessman would sell, the owner would sell the property, it could be turned into business, which the Parkway is mostly anyway. So this will protect that nice little neighborhood that I actually live in, and I think that I counted 75 homes down there. So it's protection, and there's a flaw in the zoning, and this will correct it, and I appreciate your support on this. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor.
Yeah,
Counselor Capone?
refer this to the zoning board for them to review and make recommendations?
No, I think this goes straight to planning.
Yeah, oh, planning, okay.
Yep.
So refer it out to planning.
That's what our ordinance is
Seconded.
saying.
All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it.
Item number 32, Mr. President, is an ordinance offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that an ordinance amending Article 4 of Section 17 News Racks be approved by the Everett City Council.
Refer to rules and ordinance?
Legislative affairs, right?
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Item number,
Read the last piece on the agenda.
final item number 33
33.
is an ordinance offered by Councilor Richard J. Delasola Jr. as president, that the Everett City Council hereby approves an ordinance to regulate outdoor dining permits.
Refer to rules and ordinance?
Have a second? Seconded. All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Before we adjourn, I know it's a long night. I just want to thank the colleagues that showed up for Little League Opening Day in girls softball, and also the Council DePiero, McLaughlin, DeFlorio, Sergio, myself, and Mike Megan that came out and helped out for the cleanup, and all the volunteers that came for Everett cleanup. There was a lot of work done. I'd like to see it done twice a year, but we'll look into that, but thank everybody for volunteering for the
My
city.
legs are still bleeding, Mr. President.
You guys did a great job. Seconded. All in favor? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.